All right, so we're up.
Okay. I am ready when you guys are. See, I don't think I hear audio from Chambers.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 14th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. First of all, I appreciate your patience as we had some technology issues, but we are ready to get started. My name is Jeff Carson. I'm going to be serving as chair of tonight's meeting. We have the following commissioners present here with us tonight: Commissioner Mark Mueller, Commissioner Dwayne Beth, Commissioner and Vice Chair Karen Jones, Commissioner James Ernst, Commissioner Jake Miller. And then we also have with us Department of Planning and Urban Design staff, Rose Morris, Gunnar Han, and Byron Toy. Also with us tonight is Michael Farley with the Unified Government Legal Department. So with that, I will turn it over to Rose Morris, who will read the opening statement on how we'll run tonight's meeting.
Hey, hello. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The commissioners are either.
Rose, we cannot hear you.
I see.
I could hear, I don't know.
I can hear, Mr. Chairman.
Are you able to hear me in the commission chamber?
We still cannot.
I can hear Rose.
Commissioner Jones, we can't hear you either.
Okay. I can hear them down there.
Commissioner Jones, can you say something? Just give us a sound check.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Okay, we cannot hear
No.
the commissioners now. Bear with us while we figure this one out. So everybody online can hear each other, but they can't hear us in the chambers.
We can hear you and Rose.
Testing again.
Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Rose, are you on yet?
Yes, I am on.
All right, we can hear you all.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to try this again. We will now turn it over to Rose Morris with the Department of Planning and Urban Design, and she'll read the opening statement on how we'll handle tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you for sticking with us. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The commissioners are either present in the commission chambers or through Zoom. Mr. Jeff Carson is serving as chairman this evening. Please take note the instructions for the meeting. If you're joining by Zoom video, please make sure you have an appropriate background. Board members that are participating by Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature when you want to speak. And after Chairman Carson recognizes you, please unmute your microphone and state your name when you begin to speak. If you are in the commission chamber, please state your name before speaking and once the chairman recognizes you. For those members of the public attending the meeting virtually this evening, please use the raise your hand feature if you want to speak on an application. And if you're present in the commission chamber, please come to the microphone at the front of the room when the application is called. After the chairman recognizes you, please state your name and address to make your comments. If you're having issues getting into the Zoom, please email planninginfo@wykokck.org. Proper meeting decorum is expected of all participating in the meeting. Anyone who fails to act properly may be removed from the meeting. The city reserves the right to discontinue a meeting if any improper behavior occurs, which prevents the uninterrupted conduct of business. The format for this evening's meeting is as follows. The applicant will make an opening statement explaining the proposal. The applicant will be given 15 minutes to present their case, which includes the applicant, consultants, and other members of the applicant's team. Members of the board will then address any questions that they have to the applicant. Any persons wishing to speak in favor will be recognized and allowed to do so at that time. And then those in opposition will be recognized and allowed to make their statements and ask questions, with each member of the public being given 5 minutes to express their opinions. Time may not be shared between speakers. A speaker's time may be extended in 5-minute intervals by a 2/3 majority vote of the board. The chairman will ask for a show of hands of people who are in support and who are in opposition that did not speak or did not want to speak. The applicant will then answer questions and make a closing statement, and the public hearing portion of the meeting will be closed. The public will only be allowed to address the board if a question is directed towards them. The staff will then make their recommendation, and the board will discuss the application and make their decision with a brief statement of the reason for the motion preceding the making of the motion. Motion shall include the staff's conditions unless otherwise stated in the motion. Okay. All right, that takes us to our first application. It is variance Boza 2024-027, Jesus Santoyo, 2542 South 12th Terrace, zoned R1B Single Family District. This appeal has been filed to keep 3 accessory structures. Section 27-6092 states that for any dwelling unit that there may be permitted a detached accessory building. Such buildings shall not be located in front of the house, less than 2 feet from the alley, nor closer than 3 feet to any side of the rear property line. In the case of corner lots, a detached accessory building shall not be within 20 feet of the side street. The total area of such detached accessory building shall not exceed 1,000 square feet or cover more than 30% of the required rear yard. The applicant requests 3 accessory structures, a violation of 2 accessory structures, in conjunction with SP 2024-088. Does anyone on the board have any context to disclose for this application?
No. Thank you. Mr. Santoyo, are you in the audience? Come on up to the mic. You would please start off with your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do.
Yeah, my name is Bernays Santoyo, 2542 South 12 Terrace.
And what are you here tonight requesting?
Need an interpreter?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so I'm an interpreter, so
What's your name, please, sir?
Daniel Garcia.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I guess he filled out some paperwork. ¿Cuándo estabas aquí? ¿Cuándo estabas aquí?
Hace 2 meses.
What's on the property now? How many houses and how many accessory structures?
He still has the same, he hasn't done anything, but he did some paperwork, I guess, some affidavit.
All right, what's on the house, what's on the property now? Just one house?
Dos. No,
Are there any
there's
outbuildings?
two.
Two houses on the same piece of property?
Yes.
No. Mías es solo una, pero para los palomas son 2.
Okay, no, so I guess for his birds, there's 2 houses, but he has 1 house on his property.
One house, and there's 2 bird houses on there now, and he wants to build a third.
¿Quieres que ponga otro?
No?
Si me dejan tener las 3, pero si quieren puedo quitar una.
No, he says that he would like to build one, but if he can't, then that's all right.
But there are 2 on there now in addition to the house.
Yes,
All right, so right now you have a violation of 1 because you're allowed 1. You've got 2, correct?
yes,
All right, and he'd like to build a third if possible.
yes.
All right. Anything else? And what are these buildings for?
It's just his hobby that he has pigeons.
Are they all going to be pigeons?
Yes.
All right, how many pigeons do we have out there?
¿De cuánto? ¿Palomas?
30.
30.
30? And we need 3 structures for 30 pigeons?
Tres. Casitas para 30.
Sí.
Yeah, he says he does.
Those must be big pigeons.
¿Son grandes o qué?
No, normal.
Just-
Paloma normal.
They just like to have their room. Okay.
Yeah, just normal size.
All right, any questions for the applicant from members of the commission? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. I'm sorry, Commissioner Jones.
I was just going to ask a question. I'm looking in the staff report and the Mr. Santoya wasn't responsive to staff. I just wanted to ask him why wasn't he responsive to staff? And then it also says there was no neighborhood meeting held.
No what?
Neighborhood meeting held?
You're required to have a neighborhood meeting. Was such a meeting held?
He had some, he talked to the neighbors and he had some signatures from them. He has them right here and the address and number.
When was that meeting held? Because I'm not sure we have that in our staff
No,
report.
it wasn't a meeting held at all. No tenía una junta con ellos.
Sí, ya la hice.
So perhaps it was unofficial as opposed to official and documented and shared with staff?
So the meeting held here or with the neighbor?
No, you have to hold one with the neighbor. You have to notify everybody within a certain number of feet.
Radius.
We provide you with that list, and then you have to hold a meeting. You have to keep minutes of that meeting, and then you have to report those back to us. Was that meeting held?
Necesitas junta con tus vecinos en el día en tiempo, ¿cuántos minutos en todo? No te digo.
Yo ya la hice con todos.
No, pero dice con un papel necesita firmar.
Aquí tengo firmas de ellos, pero no.
He just has signatures, but he does not have the time. He just wants each individual homes.
Yeah, that's really not how it works, and there might be just some certain directions that were missed. Okay, we'll get back to that in just a moment. Is there anyone in the audience that came tonight to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Commissioner Jones, I'm working on an answer for you, but we'll get to staff, and I think that'll clear things up. Is that okay?
Yes, thank
All right,
you.
thank you. Anyone in the audience? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go to Director Han and get his comments on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. As was noted, this case is being heard in conjunction with SP 2024-088 later this evening by the City Planning Commission for more than 6 fowl, in this case pigeons. This case was held over from the February agenda because the applicant was not in attendance. Again, the variance is for 3 accessory structures. So cumulatively, the 3 accessory structures on the property right now are less than 1,000 square feet. So we have a carport, a shed, and a pigeon coop.
Okay.
It is in the Plan KCK area, just outside the Rosedale area plan. There's been no support, no opposition. Again, there is an active notice of violation related to the pigeon coop. Again, that's why we're here for the accessory structure. Staff was going to recommend denial due to not receiving information from the applicant It's been noted that there also is not a neighborhood meeting, so we cannot move forward with a recommendation of approval for this case. We could hold over for 30 days or deny the case today. Based on, it sounds like something was perhaps lost in translation at the neighborhood meeting. We now have 2 staff in the last 2 weeks who are fluent in Spanish. So I think what we should probably do is I would recommend we hold over for another 30 days. This is the last 30 days as per the code that we can hold it over, or we have to hear denial in May, excuse me. So I think we could clear this up, get with them, work through what the requirements are for a neighborhood meeting and hear it again in May.
All right. Any questions for staff? Okay, did you understand what he said? That
Yes.
because we haven't had that neighborhood meeting and I think we're a little unclear on the directions,
Yes.
that we're going to probably hold this over for 30 days. And then that way you have a chance to get with staff, or he has a chance to get with staff. We'll get things explained properly, and then he'll get the information to us that we need to. Because if we don't get it done by May, then we're going to have to deny it. Okay. And then he's going to have to wait to reapply. So let's see where we go tonight, and then I'll give you some final directions. So I will stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Motion to approve, to hold over, Boza case number 2024-027 for 30 days.
All right, thank you. Motion for holdover, Boza case 2024-027 made by Commissioner Jones. That a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Rose.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed. Who was present in the commission chamber?
Commissioner Beth is president of the commission chambers, and myself.
Okay. So I have Strauss, Ward, Armstrong, Easterwood, and Schwartz not present?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, I have 5-0. Motion carries to hold over.
All right, thank you. Gunnar, do they need my vote on that? Do we need 6?
No, you just need a majority of
All
quorum.
right, thank you.
5 is sufficient.
All right, thank you. All right. Go ahead and call the next case, Rose, while Gunner's explaining to the applicant.
Okay. Next case is variance Boza 2024-040. Thomas Steibel, 2951 South 34th Street. It is zoned AG Agriculture District. This appeal is to grant a variance from the minimum required parking lot width and lot anchorage around a designated major street per section 27763. Section 27280F states that residential lots shall not face on or otherwise receive access onto streets designated as major streets unless the lot has a minimum lot area of 5 acres and a minimum of 300 feet of frontage on this major street. The applicant is proposing a lot width of 248.10 feet and 0.63 acres, a violation of 51.9 feet and 4.31 acres respectively. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Thank you. Is Mr. Steibel, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and name and address, please, and tell us what you want to do here.
Thomas Steibel, I office at 509 Armstrong Avenue. We were contacted by the applicant. She has a piece of property that's about 9.7 acres that's zoned agricultural, and it has a house on it. And she wanted to separate the house so that it may be transferred, the ownership may be transferred sometime in the future, either to an heir or on the market. When we submitted the application to split the property off, the staff came back and indicated that South 34th Street was the main street that required a larger residential lot. We can't really do that because if we do, it's only 9.7 acres and that would leave the balance would not be eligible to be considered as agricultural. So we designed this lot to separate it out. The city recommended that we extend it all the way to the north boundary of the property, which we have done. And that would allow her to be able to transfer the interest in the house if she chose to do so sometime in the future. Staff has recommended approval of this variance, and we would ask the board to also approve the variance and follow the staff's approval recommendation.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience tonight want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand or come to the microphone. Seeing no one, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. This case is being heard in conjunction with changes on 2024-033 and Plat 2024-035 by the City Planning Commission later this evening. As the applicant's representative explained, the petition is on a segment of 34th Street that's defined as a collector street. As per the county engineer, anything above a collector street is deemed a major roadway and is subject to the subdivision section in question. The question in the code in the subdivision ordinance that requires new parcels on major roadways to be no less than 5 acres and the required width. The applicant does not meet that standard. The standard's intent was to minimize roadway curb cuts along major roadways, and there is no net new curb cut. They're using the existing curb cut on the road for both parcels. It would require an access agreement if created by the plat. So this is in the Plan KCK area, sort of right where Argentine Turner, Rosedale kind of come together. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are no notice of violation on the property. Staff recommends approval with conditions, including that cross-access agreement.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Mr. Jones?
Motion to approve Boza case number 2024-040, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion to approve Boza case 2024-040 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Miller?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay. Beth?
Aye.
Ernst?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Mueller?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you.
All right. The next application is Boza 2025-008. Sean Smith with Belmont Development Company, 201 North 64th Terrace, zoned R1 Single Family District. This appeal has been filed to grant variances from the required minimum required setbacks in the R1 Single Family District to correct property lines for existing single family residents. Section 27454D2A states that the setback from the front property line shall not be less than 25 feet. The applicant is requesting a front setback of 24 feet, 1 inch, a violation of 11 inches. And this is in conjunction with Plat 2025-003.
Okay, we're going to hear all three of these together. So Rose, do you want to go ahead and announce the other two cases that coincide with this one?
Okay, the next case is Boza 2025-009. It is at 221 North 64th Terrace, zoned R1 Single Family District. This appeal has been filed to grant variances from the minimum required setbacks in the R1 Single Family District to correct property lines for existing single family residents. Section 27454D2A states that the setback from the front property line shall not be less than 25 feet. And the applicant is requesting a front setback of 24 feet, 1 inch, a violation of 11 inches. And then the last one is Boza 2025-010. This appeal has been filed to grant variances from the minimum required setbacks in the R1 single-family district to correct property lines for existing single-family residents. The applicant is requesting a front setback of 23 feet and 8 inches, a violation of 1 foot and 4 inches.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant available? Sean Smith.
You want me to do my intro first? You want me to do my presentation
Let's
first?
see. Oh, yep. He is in there. Okay.
Okay. Hey, Rose, can you provide, can you make Mr. Carson a co-host?
Yes.
I'm unable to do that from my computer.
Yeah, that's fine. See. Sean Smith should be allowed to talk right now.
He is, but that's not going to help me further on down the line. I need to be promoted up so we can
Okay.
get it, so we can handle it the rest of the evening, or this is going to be one long night.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Smith, while we're still trying to figure out technology, why don't you go ahead and state your name and address and explain these 3 cases to us?
Hey, hello, yeah, Sean Smith here. I'll probably let Pam. I don't know if Pam can raise her hand and get unmuted. She can tell you the technical details more than I can. She's our engineer.
right.
Sean Smith, 184 Old Branch Road, Choctaw, Oklahoma. Essentially, this is a new construction development, and some of the houses and their foundations were placed a little bit off of where they should have been. So these variances and amendments are just to correct a few of those items. Pam can go into more detail if you guys need that.
Yes, I've got it taken care of now. Pam Young, I have you queued up ready to speak also, if you give us your name and address.
Sure. It's Pam Fortune Young. Last name is F as in Frank, Ortun -Young. Address is 8455 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Anything you want to add to Mr. Smith's testimony about what we're doing here tonight?
No, these are just to correct some setback issues after the structures were built. We discovered that they were within the required setback.
All right, so we're just bringing them into compliance then, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant on these 3 cases from members of the commission? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak about any of these 3 cases, please come forward. We're talking about Boza case 2025-008, 009, and 010. Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand to get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. This case is being heard in conjunction with Plat 2025-003 by the City Planning Commission later this evening. So what we have here is 2 different things. There is the setback requirements of the zoning code, and then when the subdivision was originally platted, it had its own build-to lines that sort of supersede, if you will, our zoning code. Can't be more than our zoning code. You can't intrude into the setbacks, hence the variances. But you can set build-to lines when you plat out a subdivision like this. So they were built in the field, not where they were supposed to be, off by a couple of feet. So to enable a variance, we had to also remove the build-to lines for these 3 locations. So that's what the plat does. Removed, it allows for the variances to be heard for the setbacks on all 3 houses. There's a curvature in the road that makes those setbacks intruding into the front yard setback by inches in some cases, only a foot or 2 in others, indiscernible. So this is in the Plan KCK area in the Midtown South, just south of the freeway, I-70 freeway. Staff received no letters of support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on these properties. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, we have 3 cases, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion for Boza case 2025-008. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Motion to approve Boza case number 2025-008, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion approved made by Commissioner Jones, Boza case 2025-008. Is that a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Now I'll need one for Boza case 2025-009. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve Boza case number 2025-009, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion made for approval of Boza case 2025-009 by Commissioner Jones. I need a second, please. Anyone? Commissioner Miller?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay, Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And finally, on Boza case 2025-010, Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Motion to approve Boza case number 205-010, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion for approval made by Commissioner Jones of Boza case 2025-010. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second?
Ma-
I'm sorry, Commissioner Beth has the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Okay, Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. And I believe that does conclude our agenda for Board of Zoning Appeals. We're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll convene the City Planning Commission. Again, I appreciate everyone's patience. Okay, I apologize for the delay, but we are going to go ahead and start the April 14th City Planning Commission. My name is Jeff Carson. I'm serving as chair of tonight's meeting. We have the following commissioners present here in the commission chambers with me. I have Commissioner Dwayne Beth. Online, we have Commissioner Mark Mueller. We have Commissioner and Vice Chair Karen Jones, Commissioner James Ernst, Commissioner Jake Miller, and I believe I have everybody correct. And then online with us, we also have Rose Morris with the Department of Planning and Urban Design. We also have with us Director Hand and Byron Toy with the Department of Planning and Urban Design, along with Michael Farley from the Unified Government Legal Counsel. So with that, I will turn the meeting over to Rose Morris, who will read the opening statement on how we'll handle tonight's meeting.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the City Planning Commission. The members are participating remotely by Zoom or in the commission chamber. Jeff Carson is the chairman this evening. Please note the instructions for the meeting. The Planning Commission members attending by Zoom, please make sure that you're visible during the meeting and use the raise your hand feature to speak. After Chairman Carson recognizes you, please unmute and state your name when you begin to speak. And if you're in person, state your name before speaking. For those in public in attendance by Zoom or phone, please use the raise your hand feature when you want to speak on an issue. The chairman will recognize you when it is time to speak, unmute, and then state your name and address before giving your comments. If you are attending in person, please come to the microphone at the front of the room when the application is called, and the chairman will recognize you when it is your time to speak. Proper meeting decorum is expected of all participating, and anyone failing to act properly will be removed from the meeting. The city reserves the right to discontinue a meeting if any improper behavior occurs, which prevents the uninterrupted conduct of business. Also, a side note, if you're here to comment on Boza 2025-011 or Plat 2025-004, the hearing for that application has been changed to next month on May 12th. Next, the Planning Commission is a voluntary body of citizens which will review each zoning proposal. For change of zones, special use permits, vacations, and preliminary plan reviews on tonight's agenda, the Planning Commission makes their recommendations to the Unified Government Board of Commissioners, who makes their final decisions on Thursday, May 1st, 2025. For final plats and final plan reviews heard tonight, and the Planning Commission's decision is final, and there won't be another hearing. The format of this evening's meeting is as follows. The applicant will give an opening statement and explain their proposal. Please note that the applicant will be given 15 minutes to present their case. That 15 minutes includes the applicant, consultants, and other members of the applicant's team. Members of the Planning Commission will then ask any questions that they have to the applicant. Anyone wishing to speak in favor will be allowed to at that time. Then those in opposition will be called upon and allowed to make their statements and ask questions. Please note each member of the public who wishes to speak will be given 5 minutes to express their opinions, and time may not be shared between speakers. A speaker may request to extend their time by the Planning Commission. A Planning Commission may extend a speaker's time in 5-minute increments by a 2/3 majority vote. Those who do not wish to speak, the chairman will allow a show of hands for those in support and in opposition. The applicant will then answer questions and then make a closing statement. The public hearing of the portion will be meeting will be closed, and the public will be allowed to address the commission if a question is directed towards them. The Planning Commission will discuss the application and make their recommendation. If a person's in opposition wants to formally protest a change of zone or special use permit, they are allowed to by legal protest petition, which can be obtained along with instructions by emailing planninginfo@wycokck tomorrow morning. Any application receiving a unanimous vote of recommendation by the Planning Commission will appear on the consent agenda of the Board of Commissioners meeting. Unless there is a request to remove an item from the consent agenda by an applicant, a member of the commission, or other interested parties, the Planning Commission's recommendation will be adopted. The consent agenda is heard at the beginning of the meeting at 7 p.m. I will read a list of agenda items on the consent agenda. When I have completed the list, the chairman will ask if there's any request to remove any items. This is the time to use the raise your hand feature, be recognized, and request that item be removed from the consent agenda if you don't agree with the staff's recommendation. If you are in the commission chamber, please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and the item that you want to remove from the consent agenda. The Planning Commission is required to disclose contacts about any item on the Planning Commission's agenda. Before each item, I'll ask if any contacts have been made, and the members will be asked to disclose their contacts. Please note that your opinions will be afforded to the governing body for their consideration in making a final decision on Thursday, May 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. I will now read the items on the consent agenda. So first application is SP 2025-008, Tom Giefer. It is a renewal of a special use permit for stockpiling and movement of materials for rock crushing and a gravel operation at 7241 Caw Drive. Also, the minutes, the March 10th, 2025 minutes. Then there is SP 2025-010, Sherry Bailey Scott. It is a renewal of a home occupation special use permit for a chiropractic office at 5331 Miami Avenue. Then there is plat application 2025-002, Alicia Tomlin. It is a final plat for Boyd Center 1 to remove a building line and add open space easements at 7957 State Avenue. Plat application plat 2025-005, Daryl Rakowski. Final plat Villas of Piper Valley Phase 2 to create 23 residential lots at 11400 Spring Avenue. Plat application 2025-006, Scott Ray with Buc-ee's. Final plat for Buc-ee's Travel Center at 601 Village West Parkway. Plan review application PR 2025-005. Final development plan for Buc-ee's Travel Center at 601 Village West Parkway. Plan review application PR 2025-008, Autumn King with BHC Roads. It is a final development plan for an indoor go-kart track at 9700 State Avenue. Plan review application PR 2025-009, Alex Gribble with Kimley Horn. It's a final development plan for an apartment complex at 6909 State Avenue. The items that I have just read are on the consent agenda. At this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contact on these items?
No.
Okay, please include the following items as part of the record for all of the items on the consent agenda. The city has currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question. The city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question. The staff report and attachment stated March 10th, 2025. The application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file. The notice in the Wyandotte Echo for the special use permits and the notices to property owners. The commission will move to approve in one vote of these items unless someone requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. Does anybody on the Planning Commission wish to have anything removed from the consent agenda? All right, thank you. Anyone in the audience would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda, please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
My name is Mark Rowe. My address is 11255 Leavenworth Road.
All right, and what item would you like to have removed from the consent agenda?
Well, 2025-005. I just have a couple questions, I haven't seen anything detailed on it yet, and I own the property.
005, okay, all right, we'll remove that from the consent agenda.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, with the exception of plat 2025-005, I'll entertain a motion to approve all the other items on the consent agenda at this time. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as read by Rose with the exception of plan review case number 2025-005.
Thank you. Motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Miller?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay, Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. For those of you that came for items on the consent agenda, if you are here for any of those cases besides plat 2025-005, all those items have been approved, and unless you want to stick around tonight for a very long evening, you're welcome to leave. But if you like more of this fun that you've already witnessed, you're welcome to stay the evening with us. All right, Rose, go ahead and call the first case, which would be the one on the consent agenda, please.
Okay. Plat application plat 2025-005, Daryl Rakowski. It is a final plat to create 23 residential lots at 11400 Spring Avenue.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rakowski. Are you in the audience? Mr. Rakowski. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Sir, you want to go ahead and come on up and give us your question? We'll see if staff can answer your question since the applicant is not here tonight. Sorry. Is he online? I'm sorry. Mr. Rakowski, there you go. I've got Crystal. Wait a minute. Is that the engineer? Crystal Voth or both? Are you
Hi.
representing Mr. Rakowski?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, Crystal Voth. I'm sorry, I thought Mr. Rakowski was going to be online, so I was being quiet. Yeah, Crystal Voth with Atlas Lind Consulting. I'm here to represent this plat this evening. This is just a 23 lot residential plat at 11400 Spring Valley Avenue. This is in conformance with the preliminary plat that was previously approved. It's just the second phase of this. We have addressed all comments with engineering and planning and for stormwater, roads, everything of that nature. So I'll answer any questions that I can, but
All right, I've got Daryl R. here online as well, so I'm going to go ahead and allow them to talk. I'm assuming you might be Mr. Rakowski?
Yes, I am.
All right, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, she has everything there for you.
All right. Folks, when we call your case, if you could please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. If I have to hunt for you, it's going to make a really long night, much, much longer. So please pay attention to what's going on. And when your case is called, please be ready to go at the mic. So thank you. Okay, any questions from the commission of the applicant? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open up the public portion of the meeting. Sir, go ahead and give us your name one more time.
Yeah, my name is Mark Rowe,
Okay, and what's your address one more time?
11255 Leavenworth Road.
All right, thank you for bearing with me. And what's your question tonight that we can get you an answer to?
Okay, well, it's simple. And I understand phase 2 is coming, but there's been an enormous amount of dirt brought in on the property over there. Are the elevations the same in this phase 2 as they were in the original?
You're worried about the elevations?
Yes, I own the
Okay.
property directly east, and it's a vineyard, and I can't have runoff, like chemical runoff, so.
Okay, chemical runoff?
Well, it's a concern of mine. I mean, we were all approved on, the first time, but we had meetings and talked about it. This time, I don't know what you're gonna do with all that dirt, but to me, they want to build higher.
Okay,
That would create a problem.
all right, well, is that the only question you have?
Yeah, basically, go
All
ahead.
right, so we're concerned about runoff, and specifically the chemical runoff. What's going to happen with all the dirt?
Well, just the height of the buildings they're gonna build, if they're gonna be different from what we originally agreed on the first time.
All right, so the same type, whether they're the same type of housing or not?
Oh, doesn't matter. I love having the neighbors. I don't care.
But do you have a question about the height of the houses or?
Well, yeah, my question is the height going to be any different than we voted on the first time?
When you say height, are you talking about houses or elevation of the property?
Elevation of the property.
All right. All right. Any other questions that you have that I can get an answer for you tonight?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in favor or in opposition to this proposal? Please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. Okay, I'm going to go back to Mr. Rakowski and get your comments with regard to the neighbor's question with regard to the elevations of the property and the dirt because of potential problems with runoff. You should unmute yourself, please, Mr. Rakowski.
I'm sorry, this computer keeps going mute on me.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing's changed. That's just dirt from the first phase we were just storing there. There will be some higher elevations down to the east. Not higher elevations, just more of that dirt will be used down to the to the west part of that property. Nothing changes by Mr. Rose Winery.
As far as runoff towards this property, is anything changing?
Correct. Yeah, yes, exactly.
And the pile of dirt we're talking about, is that going to be removed or
Yes.
spread out to other
Yes.
portions of the property?
Correct. It'll be spread out in other areas.
And when's that going to be done?
When we start doing the second phase.
All right. Is any of that affecting his property now?
Not at all.
All right. All right. I think that covers it. We'll go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is the phase 2 of a subdivision for the remaining 23 homes. It does carry with it all the previous conditions of approval from phase 1. This is in the Perry, Delaware Piper area plan. Staff received no letters in support. In addition to the comments tonight, we did receive a question over the telephone from the property owner who lives directly south of proposed phase 2, who's also dealing with some runoff as it is currently just all dirt, right? So generally speaking, I think to answer the question in a little more detail, there'll probably be some finish grading occurring as they prepare each individual pad site. But once those houses get built and the lawns get put in and the landscaping is done, again, all the dirt shouldn't be just tossing water to the side like it has been. So that should be addressed both south and east of the proposed subdivision. There are no notices of violation on the property. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and stand for a motion. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve
Plan review application 2025-005.
2025-005, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion made for approval of plat 2025-005 by Commissioner Jones. The second, Commissioner Miller.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this will be heard one more time on May. It will not. I'm sorry. That's right. Plan review. Thank you.
Okay.
You like that.
So that finishes the consent agenda, and now we'll read the non-consent agenda. The first application on the non-consent agenda is change of zone, COZ 2024-033, Lynn Beaver. It is a change of zone from AG Agriculture District to R1 Single Family District for a one-lot subdivision at 2951 South 34th Street in conjunction with Plat 2024-035. Plat 2024-035 is a preliminary and final plat to create one residential lot at 2951 South 34th Street.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Stiebel, you're representing Ms. Beaver, correct?
Correct.
All right. Go ahead and name and address one more time.
Thomas Steibel, office at 509 Armstrong here in Kansas City, Kansas, here on behalf of Miss Beaver. This is a, she owns a 9.7 acre agricultural lot that she has an existing house on it. She's trying to separate the house so that it can be transferred. The ownership may be transferred sometime in the future, either to an heir or to be put on the market. That will leave about 9.1 acres of agricultural land that already has barns and a pond and some beehives and things like that, that's used for agricultural purposes.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the public. Anyone want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please come forward, or if you're online, raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll go to staff and get their comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this case was heard in conjunction with Boza 2024-040 for lot width and acreage variances, which was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals earlier this evening. It's also being heard in conjunction with Plat 2024-03, make sure I get it right, 5, for a new single-family lot. Again, the change of zone is from AG to R1. It would leave the larger remainder parcel as AG. The new parcel with this existing single home would be changed to R1 if approved recommended for approval tonight and ultimately by the Board of Commissioners later on. This is in the planned KCK area, again, right at that kind of Rosedale, Turner, Argentine comes together. Staff has received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on the property. Staff recommends approval with conditions, including the cross-access agreement.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve, do the first one, change of zone, case number 2024-033, subject to staff stipulations and comments, including that cross-access agreement that was notated.
Thank you. Motion for approval of change of zone application 2024-033 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay, Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. The change of zone will go before the Board of Commissioners on May 1st at 7 p.m.
We need the plat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'll entertain a motion for the plat. Commissioner Jones, I'm sorry, you're already ahead of me. Thank you.
That's okay. Motion to approve plat case number 2024-035, subject to staff stipulations and comments, again, inclusive of the cross-access agreement.
Thank you. Motion for approval of plat 2024-035 made by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Commissioner Miller, correct?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. The next application is a change of zone, COZ 2025-002. Horatio Perez is a change of zone from R1B Single Family District to AG Agricultural District to keep animals and farm the property at 3505 Sorter Drive. The following items were included as part of record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone in the commission have any contact to disclose in this application?
No.
Yes, sir. What's your name, please, and address?
My name is Horacio Perez. So the address is 3545 Soto Drive, Kansas City, Kansas, 66104.
All right, and what would you like to do here?
I want to change for agriculture because I like keeping my animals. And I got about 7.5 acres. So in the future, I want to make a little barn in there, but that's the other case. But for now, I want to just keep agriculture and keeping my animals in there.
All right, what kind of animals do you have?
Right now I got chickens, but in the future, like say I wanna got like a one cow or in one horse or stuff like that.
But right now, just chicken
Right now
only?
I got just chickens.
Okay, how many chickens do you have?
I got seven.
Seven?
Seven.
With the price of eggs, that's probably a good thing to have.
Well, the thing I got a friend of mine. He's got a more in there. When he told me when I just go checking the property, I told my friends you need to leave, and you remove all the chicken cages and everything. So right now I got just seven. So, but like I say, in the future, I want to make a nice little an air, and I want to clean my property and keep it nice and planting some vegetables in there, watermelons and stuff like that.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Please come forward, or if you're online, raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a change of zone from R1 to AG. This is in the planned KCK Sorter Drive area, kind of in the north midtown near the Quindaro town site. Staff received no letters in support. There was opposition. Staff received, there are no notices of violation on the property. During the staff visit, site visit, staff did notice some of the issues that the applicant just noted that he said he was cleaning up, including cages for roosters, some inoperable vehicles, as well as some food truck storage. Staff is going to recommend denial of this change of zone application. We do have conditions of approval for the change of zone as necessary. We've also written conditions of approval to switch this over to a special use permit, which would allow 25 chickens, if need be. The other option would be to hold it over for 30 days so that we could revisit the site, see how much has been cleaned up since our last site visit, and report back. Would be a third option.
All right, questions for staff? Do you have a preference?
You told me like, and you can prove it for agriculture, you say?
Right now, you're asking for,
Yeah,
you just have the chickens now, but you want to be able to have other livestock at some
well,
point.
yeah, in the future, like say, right now, I want to live like that. But I want to make agriculture because in the future, like I say, I want to make a little barn in there or stuff like that.
All right,
And I want to make like a planting my vegetables and everything.
and where are you at with the cleanup of your property?
I want to clean, it's like a little shelter there. And the other side is like a pretty much level dirt. And I want to make a level in there and planting my stuff.
But you're not there yet.
Nah, not yet. Well, it's like I say, I wanna. It's pretty much clean already, but I need to planting. But the thing is like last week I got part of my food and potato. So right now I can do anything. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know, you make it this or next year. Planting and make it like a really nice in here. But right now, I just keep it clean and everything. But I just want to make agriculture.
But you say it's cleaned up now.
Yeah, it's pretty much clean. You can Google it and you can see them. All the cages of the roosters is gone. I like say I got just seven in there.
So the
And-
7 chickens, but no
And
roosters.
I got more, but I've rid of them. I'll sell it. Whole thing. So right now, I just got seven.
All right.
And like I say, and because right now my wife is go feed him and everything. So probably for now, to fix my feet, I need to read the whole thing, and later on, I'll make it, like say, a nice, but I want to make agriculture. That one, I got no trouble to do that. You know what I mean? And I can ask him for, because I'm already asking for permits last year, because I want to make a little barn, like another barn. And he say, but in that time I got about 3.5 acres only. So he told me I can make anything in there. So now I buy the other 4 acres, and it's all together, it's about 7.5 acres. So I want to make agriculture in the future, like I say, I can ask him for permits to build in some metal barn or stuff like that.
Okay, I think I know what you're needing now.
Yeah.
So Director Hand, again, what are our three options?
So staff recommends
Denial.
denial.
However,
If we have multiple options for approval if need be. So to recommend approval for the change of zone would allow the applicant to provide a change of zone to AG basically allows greater flexibility to have accessory structures without a primary, which is the issue here, as well as multiple accessories to maintain the property. If we went the special use permit route, it would constrain the amount of agricultural activity that could happen in the sense that it wouldn't be agriculturally zoned and there'd be a limit on the number of accessory structures. But we had planned it out, the SUP, so that it would be a year of transition. This part of the Sorter Drive area in general has two issues for staff. One, we rely heavily on the Conservation District to provide us feedback on agricultural proposals like this, and for a lot of reasons, the Conservation District does not go to the Sorter Drive area. And so they're reliant on us and their training of us to do that work. So the SUP was meant as kind of a halfway for a year where we work to start to transition this from a heavily wooded area into more of an agricultural land that that the applicant wants. So we saw the SUP conditions of approval as sort of a 1-year step towards potentially coming back for an agricultural zone. However, if the Planning Commission wants the applicant to go ahead and build a barn and get started, the change of zone would help him do that.
all right, thank you. Questions for staff? If not, I'll stand for a motion. Anyone? Lot to take in. Commissioner Ernst.
Did we not also have an option to hold over and
That is
get it
correct.
re-inspected?
That is,
I would
nodding his head.
I would make a motion toward that end.
All right. Motion for a 30-day holdover made by Commissioner Ernst. Commissioner Jones, is that a second?
Yes, it is.
All right. The moved and seconded for a 30-day holdover for a chance to reinspect the property and come up with a better solution or a different solution. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Straws,
I have to abstain. I didn't hear the entire motion or
Okay.
the entire case.
do you want to wait until the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, sir. So we're going to hold this over for 30 days. You're going to get with staff, or staff's going to get with you, and then they're going to do a reinspection of your property. And we're going to come back next month, and we're going to do this one more time. Okay. And we'll see if we can get you what you need. Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Next, we have
Mr.
a
Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Oh, excuse me. I'm Mike Farley, legal counsel. I'm just going to make two quick announcements before we proceed.
All right.
First is just a reminder to Planning Commission that, again, you are hearing tonight only the planning entitlements that are presented based on the factors to be considered and other information found in the staff report and testimony heard and presented at this meeting. Secondly, I just want to reiterate that Section 2-259 of the Unified Government Code of Ordinances does state that except as permitted by state law or by unified government ordinance, a unified government representative shall be disqualified and shall not participate in any manner before the unified government agency with which the unified government representative is affiliated, except in the exercise of an administrative duty or ministerial act which does not affect the disposition or decision, if, to the unified government representative's knowledge, the unified government representative's spouse, parent, child, brother, or sister may be affected by the result. Subsection B of that same section does say, if a disqualification pursuant to subsection A of the section leaves an entity with less than a quorum capable of acting, or the disqualified unified government's representative is required by law to act or is the only one authorized to act, the disqualified person shall publicly fully disclose the nature and circumstances of the conflict and may participate or act, provided that such action is first approved by the Unified Government Commission, a unified government agency such as the Board of Commissioners, or ethics administrator under the circumstances which may be appropriate.
All right, thank you. Rose, go ahead and continue.
Okay. Next is change of zone application, COZ 2025-005, Aaron Wolofsky. Change of zone from AG Agricultural District, WICO, to BP Planned Business Park District for the development of a data center, Red Wolf North Park, located at 1300 Parallel Parkway, 12504 Parallel Parkway, and 12340 Parallel Parkway. Also in conjunction with plat application plat 2025-008. It is a preliminary plat for the development of a data center. Also with master plan amendment application MPL 2025-004. It is a master plan amendment from mixed residential and semi-public to business park commercial for the development of a data center. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case, the notice in Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone in the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Yes, I've spoken to several proponents and opponents of the application. Commissioner Beth, did you want to make an announcement?
Likewise, I have spoken with proponents and opponents, and I have interest in the area around that property, so I'm recusing myself from the entire proceedings on this plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we still do have a quorum with the addition of Commissioner Strauss now, so we'll go forward with the case. Mr. Maxwell, are you presenting on behalf of the applicant? All right, go ahead, please, name and address.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr.
I'm sorry, one more.
I have one other point of order to make here. Section 10 of the City Planning Commission bylaws does state that when a member of the commission feels that he or she may have a conflict of interest on a particular case before the commission, they may state so and vacate their chair. A member so vacating his or her chair shall leave the room and shall not participate in the hearing or discussion and shall not vote on the issue.
All right. So in this case, how do we handle that with Commissioner Beth?
I would advise that the commissioner leaves the room in compliance with the bylaws.
Mr. Beth?
Legal counsel's recommendation is that any member who has expressed a conflict of interest in accordance with the City Planning Commission bylaws leave the room while that case is being heard.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Beth. All right, Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cord Maxwell, Polsinelli Law Firm, appearing today on behalf of Red Wolf DCD. I also have with me Matt Phelps from Thomas & Hutton, project engineer, and Scott Coriel with Bell & Knott, our project architects. We really appreciate the opportunity to present in front of the Planning Commission today. We know you have a very long agenda, but this is a big item for us and a very big item for Wyandotte County. We're going to take you through all of this and then stand for any questions that you may have. If there's any comments, we'll also obviously be here all night and be available to talk. And I'm going to talk about, although we have multiple applications, both a southern application and a northern application, we have a change of zone, we have a master plan amendment, we have a plat. I'm going to talk about it as all one application. Of course, if there's any specific question, we are happy to get up and respond.
Thank you.
In kind. What we're here about tonight, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, is a data center. A lot of questions always about what are a data center, what do they do, how do they work? And essentially it is the key, as we all know, it is the backbone to our daily life. It is what the big tech companies that run our phones and run our computers, it's all their back end, but it's also not just the Instagrams and the Googles and the Metas and the Netflix that are relying on this, but it is all the BPU and major employers that we have and the UG that all have to roll into this infrastructure to make government services be provided and for allow our major employers to be able to serve the folks. And so what happens in them? What are they? What is going on? This is a picture of the inside of a modern data center. It is very simply rows of servers, power units, routers, switches, storage systems, cooling units. It is running racks and racks of those very expensive servers that you hear about from NVIDIA and others that are running these chips. That is the inside. That is what is occurring inside these facilities. So what is the property that we are talking about? We are talking about just shy of 550 acres, and that is made up of approximately 246 acres north of Parallel and 300 acres south of Parallel. It involves a plethora of various landowners and an assemblage that we have been able to put together over many months and years to bring forward to do a project of this size. We run roughly from 131st Street over to 123rd Street on the north, and then we run from 126th Street to approximately it's 118th, I think. No, not 118th, 121st roughly on the south. Parallel all the way down to State on the south, and we run roughly on the north up to the Piper Schools District's boundary line on the north. As discussed a little bit in the opening, what are we asking for? We are asking for rezoning from ag through R5 to BP, Business Park, and we are asking for a master plan amendment to allow for Business Park and preliminary plat approval for both the south and the north. And here we bring forward what is the plan that we are showing of how do we see this developing. And how we see this developing is approximately 6 buildings, 3 buildings on the south, 3 buildings on the north. All of the buildings are approximately 330,000 square feet. With that 330,000 square feet, this creates a total development square footage of just below 2 million square feet of data center building, and then the associated substations. Given the loads, we are going to have to build 2 substations, both a substation on the south and a substation on the north. Those substations will be owned by the Board of Public Utilities, the BPU. We will be responsible for funding and financing all of that work. We spent a lot of time in siting those buildings and making those buildings fit and fit appropriately, where we were both able to respect streamway corridors, natural buffers that were put on by our landowners, siting them at each location as far as we possibly could away from any neighbors, and providing us room to continue to keep as much existing vegetation and tree growth as we could in the site, and the ability, I'll go through this when we get into the landscaping a little bit more, the ability to buffer with additional trees and additional buffers that we're able to build is how we ended up coming to sort of the final site plan that you see before us. Our expectation on this is that this will not be a co-location facility, meaning there will not be multiple tenants that will be at this facility. Instead, the likely scenario is that there will be one tenant for all of the facility, and that we will build these buildings approximately 1 to 2 buildings at a time. And that 1 to 2 buildings at a time will take a number of years to build out as power becomes available and we can hit our ramps for power. And I'll talk about the power components a little bit more, but this will not all hit at one time. This will be a gradual rolling of building to building, and we won't have any crossover between tenants because we're likely all going to have just one singular tenant. I would note also that this will be an entirely secure facility. Security is incredibly important in the data center world. So all of this facility will be fenced. I believe we'll have both a decorative fence on the outside for aesthetics, and then we will have a black security fence on the inside to keep the data center safe. And we'll have controlled access in and out of the facility through a gate and a fully staffed security operation. So this will be an incredibly safe facility, and honestly, be very low impact at the end of the day because you are fully fenced off. Traffic is monitored in and out. They don't create a lot of traffic. We can talk about that compared to any other uses, but it will have minimal impacts on the existing road network and other externalities because of that. What is the BP zoning district? I know members of the commission know about it, but this was a point we stressed at the neighborhood meeting, and I think is important for everybody to understand. One of the things in working with Gunnar and staff and others was making sure that we were coming forward to a planned district and coming forward to a BP district. One, because instead of going to an industrial district or so forth, the BP district, we need to have high quality development with attractive buildings. Data center uses are permitted, but they're permitted only under design standards. And those design standards are, you need to do everything inside the building. You can't have noises, odors, vibrations, or other impacts discernible outside or at the property line. And that all of the buildings have to have an attractive appearance to the street and residential areas. We really tried to take that to heart and live up to the spirit of the BP zoning district with the architecture that we provided. Obviously, we don't need it on our sides from a pure function to look like an office building, right? We could look like a standard industrial concrete building. But in an effort to fit in with the community, fit into the high development standards that are laid out by Wyandotte County and by your planning staff, we agreed to the BP district, and we went and designed a product that looks like it has industrial features to it, but it also looks like something you would see where folks are working in an office building day in and day out, with the glass and the wood paneling and others that we've brought in to it. If anyone wants to focus down on the actual architecture or the elevations and what do they look like, we're happy to have staff talk about it. We also can have our architects from Belknap really get in. But we worked on articulation and we worked on bringing a lot into this so that these buildings do have an incredibly high quality design. All of that being said, even though we created all of that high quality design, what is the actual view going to look like? This is a little bit of a busy slide, Mr. Chairman, but what it's laying out is what some of the views are going to be like for the most impacted or closest neighbors that we have. What I'm looking at here is a view looking east from 131st Street, looking at those neighbors on the west side of 131st Street, what is the view from 131st Street over into our northern property. And what you're going to see is and understand is that first, what the sight line shows down below is that from the street to that building, we are 483 feet away. We are over the length of a football field, substantially over the length of a football field to get to the building. So that's number one, is that the building is pushed back, but that wasn't enough. We heard a lot of concern from neighbors at our neighborhood meeting from 131st Street from original plans we showed. And from that, we went back and worked on how can we minimize the impact, the visual impact, and otherwise to those folks' lives. And what we were able to do is right on our property line, go and build an 8-foot berm at a 2-to-1 slope. So we have a wide, nice berm of 16 feet across and coming up to 8 feet. And then we showed a way to put on plantings, and what the plantings are showing above is the beginning state of them and then ultimate state. We'll do those in a staggered line. We'll create sort of a natural, back and forth between deciduous trees and conifer trees. And what you'll see at the end of the day is that our review of it is that from the street and from the neighbors' properties over on 131st Street, you will just be looking into this berm and not be able to see the data center facilities on the other side. I'm going to take that same look from coming from the other side of the street over on 121st Street. Here, we're over 1,400 feet to our closest building, and it's more of the same because of the existing vegetation that you see on the east side of the facility. None of those property owners on that side of the street are able to see our northern facility. This view is now at 126th Street, and looking at 126th Street east into our facility down there, we are 812 feet away from our closest neighbor and their house there. And we will also, again, because of the berming we have put on and the existing vegetation for those houses, we think we're going to be able to hide the facility due to that sight line. Mr. Chairman, you hear when you go on the internet and look up a data center facility, it's all about power. And you learn a lot about power. And honestly, why is Red Wolf interested in Wyandotte County and interested in this area? It is because of the availability of power. Power is the central component that drives these deals. And given the municipal-owned utility of the BPU and the availability that they have of substations and the availability that they have to go out and buy power in the Southwest Power Pool, there is power available in this community. And that is what data centers are incredibly interested in and why we would like to move with speed to be able to bring this project to the unified government. But along with that, we think this is a great benefit and also want to make sure clearly on the record that it is not a detriment to any of the manufacturing businesses or the residents that we have here. First, to just give a size and scope of sort of the scale of the facility, it's our understanding that the overall BPU grid today is handling approximately 500 megawatts of power. As we move through build out of this facility, we could be at a max scope of about 600 megawatts of power. We are going to double the capacity of the BPU system. We think that's a massive benefit, right? Obviously, that then creates more revenue flowing through the system. That gives more redundancy flowing through the system. That creates more power in a concentrated area, and that concentrated area allows resources to be deployed to it, allows increased resources for the BPU, allows, frankly, increased profits, if you will, for the BPU that they can then deploy into upgrading the infrastructure of the rest of the system, helping out ratepayers, doing all of those things. Those are not components that we can speak to or that have any decision-making upon. It's just sort of when you have more on the system, it allows more things to occur for the BPU to be able to manage their system. But importantly, existing users come first. We are not allowed to take or divert or move power away from any of the existing base that already exists out here. We are not allowed to draw that away from the local community. We are also going to be in charge of funding all of this infrastructure. That's the general rule of development. As we all know, if I was bringing forward industrial buildings or commercial or retail buildings, that development has to pay for development. All the more true in this world of data centers where we are partnering with these local utilities and working with them on water, sewer, power, and all those other components, and fully understand that all of those improvements are on our dime and not on the general ratepayer's dime. We will be the ones who will pay for all of those upgrades so that we are not a burden on the rest of the county. Sound. Probably the biggest question from a resident standpoint across the nation is always about sound. Are these data centers loud? What do they sound like out there? And so we spent a lot of time in working through our project siting of where we placed those facilities, as I went through before, but then also looking through to what is that going to do to the sound that anyone would hear. Our review of it from an engineering perspective and beyond is that a average data center out there is at about 65 decibels. 65 decibels is approximately a normal conversation. Not if I was amplified and not if I had my loud projecting voice. Just us talking next to each other would be at approximately 65 decibels. So at the facility, we're running at about 65 decibels. But, and again, remember, I'm a lawyer, not an engineer. If you use just practical principles of science, there's something called the inverse square law about what happens to sound over distance. And that it's approximately from the source of the sound, you go down 6 decibels every time you double the size or the distance away from the sound. So at 3 feet, you go down 6 decibels. At 6 feet, you go down another 6 decibels. At 12 feet, you go down another 6 decibels, on and on and on and on. So when you are now 483 feet away or 800 feet away from your closest neighbors, we end up at approximately 23 decibels in sound at those neighbors' houses, right? 23 decibels in sound, we're running at essentially a whisper. We're running at the buzzing of a mosquito when it goes by your ear. It is a very, very, very low level of noise. It is much less than just background outdoor noise that we have out there, 67 decibels, just roughly if you were around Village West, or if you're just out in a wilderness, approximately 30 decibels. So we're at an incredibly low level of sound when you work out at these distances that we're talking 400, 800, 1,400 feet away from some of our nearest neighbors. But that's not enough. The other thing that can help and dampen sound is vegetation, right? Those trees and vegetations, that berms, all of those components we think are other pieces that are going to drop the sound level and take away this externality that could end up being out there. So we've worked and looked at this hard. We plan that we will be working and looking at this hard with Gunnar and the planning staff for a long time to go, if we are able to move forward from this planning commission and the commission and be able to get this approved, because we've heard from the neighbors and we know that this is critically important to Wyandotte Countyans and an incredibly important part of your code as it's required under the code to not have that externality. Landscaping. Speaking of landscaping, we understand all of the requirements under the staff's landscaping requirements. We know that we have to have thousands and thousands of trees on this facility. We know we have substantial existing vegetation on this that would qualify under code provisions. We will do tree surveys that are necessary as we move forward in this process, but those tree surveys should not be taken in any way that we are trying to step away or step back from providing substantial vegetation as we showed on these berms around these neighbors and all through the facility so that this facility have an excellent view from the outside. And lastly, this is not directly the province of the Planning Commission, as you know, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission know, but it is an important component of why data centers are important additions to the community. It's not just because of all of the essential service that we provide. It's not just because of the jobs that we'll provide and other components that we'll go for. These are the biggest bang for the buck revenue generators that a community can bring in. We're looking at over $2 million in property tax per building, or approximately $13 million in property taxes for the park as a whole. Any of our discussions with Wyandotte County officials, commissioners, the economic development staff, your city administrator has made incredibly clear to us that there will be no incentives on the property taxes. Wyandotte County needs property tax relief for the average citizen out there. And so we will bring this project forward without any property tax abatement whatsoever and be fully on the rolls and deliver that level of $2 million per building, 13 million total, and be providing huge amounts of that to the city, the county, and the Piper School District out there. There is a small part of the facility that fits in the Bonner School District also, and so there will be some spinoff revenue going there as well. Additional benefits that we'd be remiss to not spend a few seconds on is we will also throw off substantial new sales taxes. There are sales taxes on energy, and as all in this community know, there is a BPU pilot. We'll still throw off substantial revenues from those as well. There's approximately 50 jobs per building. So at a max build out, you end at about 300 jobs at this facility. All of the various tenants have slightly different numbers on that, but it's right around 50 jobs. And these jobs are very high paying, many times over the county average wage, and they do not require any kind of postgraduate degree. They can go and be had through 6 months at tech schools and otherwise. So they're very attainable jobs for folks in the community paying a very good wage. We're going to, as I talked about, because of bringing so much more power onto the grid, we're going to increase the reliability, reduce delays in emergency service, have a very light burden on public infrastructure because all the infrastructure that needs to be built, we're building, and we don't impact the streets. We're an incredibly low traffic user, no pollution, more vegetation, diversity to internet providers, and diversifying the local economy. For all those reasons, Mr. Chairman, we believe the time is nigh. We believe this is an excellent large piece of land we have been able to secure, and we believe we will be an incredible additional contributor to the Wyandotte County economy and to this area that all have worked so hard to build. With that, we would ask for approval of the 6 different applications that we have up here. The team has fully reviewed all of the stipulations that your planning staff has written. We agree with stipulation 1 through 28 that are on each of the applications. And with that, we would stand for any questions that you or any of the commissioners would have now, or we would take questions after Gunnar and staff's report. We'll play the ball however you would like us, but we are available and here as long as you need us tonight.
All right, great, thank you. So a lot to take in. So first of all, as far as the build out goes, are you going to start with one piece of land first and go to the second, or are you going to be building in both at the same time?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mr. Chairman, and one I failed to address at the beginning. We believe that's not what I wanted to do. We will start south, and the concept would be that we would roughly start south and move from east to west, and we would do the exact same thing on the north after we had fully built out the south, move from east to west. So the last building that should ever be built at the end of it would be the building on the far north, far west, the one that is approximately 483 feet from the folks on 131st Street.
Okay, and how long is the build out plan to take?
Substantial question about how fast the BPU can move and where we can grab power and when and the ramp schedule that can occur. But the general discussion has been over many, many years, call it somewhere between 4 to 6 to 7 years.
Okay.
And obviously, Mr. Chairman, we would also understand with staff that we would need to work on the berming and the landscaping and things like that before we would be able to move forward. So we might move early on putting in berming and landscaping and things like that before we then get to the ultimate build of buildings.
Okay, and there's no improvement plan for 131st, is that correct?
Correct. We are building an 8-foot sidewalk on the east side of 131st, as that was a staff stipulation, but we do not have a drive that is touching 131st, and nothing from our traffic will be moving over or should be using 131st in any way.
Okay. All right, thank you. Other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Strauss.
This is a lot to take in, and I'll probably have more questions later as staff talks and as the community talks on this particular project, because I'm sure we will have many comments. But when we talk about the BPU and we talk about the stuff that the BPU has to do for this particular project, is this something that you guys are paying the BPU to do, or is this something that is kind of coming out of what our BPU bills and we're paying that? Is this like a separate line item that you guys are contracting the BPU to do? And you just have to excuse my inexperience in a project like this, but I'm curious if we're paying from a taxpayer perspective on the build out of what BPU is doing, or is that something separate that you guys are contracting through the BPU?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Commissioner Strauss, and I should have hit it even more head on. I tried to, but let me be very clear. All of the infrastructure that needs to be built, the substations and otherwise, will be being paid for by this development. So the general ratepayer out there will not be paying to handle this infrastructure upgrades. That will be on us as the developer that will be building out that infrastructure. And then incumbent in that too, we had this question, you didn't ask it, but it goes part and parcel with this, is what kind of rate will you be paying? And very clearly the rate will be at a rate that is higher than your standard average resident out there or industrial user out there. We will be paying a rate that is affording all of these upgrades to the system, will be on our dime and flowing revenue into the system.
Okay.
For now,
Yeah.
Commissioner Strauss?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ernst.
Just out of curiosity, I understand you're paying for all the facilities on site in terms of power. What about the grid work to get the power to you? I'm going to guess you don't have any part of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, Commissioner Ernst, I believe, do you want to jump on that, Matt?
You're not running an extension cord over the high school or anything like that, are you?
So there's an expansion plan by the BPU that has been discussed between our client and the utility provider that they anticipate improvements to be built in the future. And that's why the site was partially selected. The improvements for the data centers alone will be paid for by this developer. Yes. The improvements for the general area will be part of the BPU's overall plan for infrastructure improvement, if that tracks.
I'm going to guess they hadn't planned on quite that much expansion of lines in, but I understand, and it's not really germane to what we're deciding. I do have another question. Red Wolf has announced several other projects similar to this around the country. Are any of those in actual build out now?
Yeah, not that we're aware of, Commissioner Ernst, at this point. It's a very fast moving industry over the last year or two, as all have seen. And so Red Wolf has put sites under contract, has gotten them zoned and planned, in deep discussions with tenants in many of these sites, but none of them at this point are under construction.
When, in theory, might they start construction on this development?
The goal would be to be able to work through the zoning, land use, and planning process over the next month or two, work through some other items with the Unified Government Commission, and then be able to, most importantly, land a tenant in this. We are in some high-level discussions, finish, by the way, all negotiations and a full power contract with the BPU and land a tenant. If all of that happened perfectly, and nothing ever happens perfectly in the world of development, I think we could be able to start as early as late summer, fall, but that would be incredibly aggressive out there. Probably more likely that you're looking at late 25 or early 26.
Understood. Thank you.
Other questions? I just have probably a very simple question, but as far as the layout of the buildings, I mean, it looks like on either site, you have room for all six. Why are they split up into two very large parts, and there's so much open space around it?
Yeah.
Or why is there not smaller buildings comprised on the, instead of three big ones, instead of five smaller ones or something like that? What's the story behind that?
So each of the various major tenants out there that you can imagine, and it's generally the parts of the Mag 7, the big five companies out there, they all have roughly different footprints of what their buildings look like and exactly how they work. But generally, Commissioner, their favored is roughly a 300,000 square foot building. So what we're designing is for as broad as we can between the many tenants. What do they like to have? And then everything else has been working generally around the site constraints. First, if we would have been able to fit any of the buildings on just one site, it would have been packed in, it would have been closer to neighbors, it would have had less of the mitigation components that we saw. You also would have had U.S. Army Corps of Engineer streams that we would have had to cross or get entitled. The Catholic Church that was selling us the ground on the north side, so one of the main parcels on the north side, they also asked for an 18-acre buffer facility just north of the cemetery. So that piece that looks like another building could fit in there. That's been restricted from any development from the Catholic Church. And so the putting it together between the streams, between having the buffer areas, between having the approximately 300,000 square foot building brick every time that those tenants want, led to this design, which we believe is the most efficient. There could be ultimate tweaks that we would work through with both this planning commission and the council and others. But as we looked at it, we thought this provided the best plan to mitigate impacts on neighbors while fitting the appropriate square footage and not squeezing it in too tight.
Gotcha. As a future resident of Gates of Heaven, I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, just real quickly, I see, we talked about the substation. I know the BPU stuff you say you were funding, but do we know how those substations would be powered? I mean, I'm hearing zero pollution, but we know BPU's main power source is still a coal plant. I'm not trying to go down that whole rabbit hole, but I'm just trying to see how exactly are we going to get power to those substations? Is there some sort of conversation there?
Yeah, so thank you, Commissioner Miller. One of the attractions also to the BPU is that I believe it runs roughly 50-50 between the current power facility, then fossil fuels and renewables. So that is very attractive to those tenants that I was listing. They like those numbers of 50-50. But generally, the question is, how do you get that much power? And the real answer is the BPU will have to go out into the Southwest Power Pool, the overall area that includes multiple states and multiple power generation sources and companies, and buy that additional power to bring that in. And so what we will do through funding the infrastructure and then through paying the agreed rate is that will provide BPU with the resources to be able to go out and buy and reserve that power on the Southwest Power Pool and bring that in.
That answer your question, Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Other questions? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and open up the public portion of the meeting now. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please come forward. This time, I'm going to take those in favor. Please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. Yes, sir. Mr. Kendall.
Good evening, Chairman Carson, members of the Planning Commission and UG staff. I'm Greg Kendall, President of the Wyandotte Economic Development Council, here in support of the Red Wolf North and South Park and the request for change of zoning, preliminary plat, and master plan amendment. We believe rezoning these properties to planned business park is a strategic and forward-thinking decision, and here's why. The corridor really isn't any longer a rural area. The Prairie Delaware Piper Master Plan is 21 years old. This area is in the path of development, reflected by the many for sale signs if you've driven along Parallel Parkway. And while the Piper School District has thousands of acres designated for residential development, there is little land set aside for economic diversification. And without some kind of balance, we limit opportunities to strengthen the tax base. Development will occur in this area, and we believe a business park would be preferable to alternatives such as apartment complexes, large retail centers, or entertainment districts. With minimal vehicle traffic, reduced noise, and more green spaces, the proposed development that you all have heard about, we think is better for the area than more houses. If we remain focused on this 550 acres as residential development, we set ourselves up for needing more schools, roads, and services. As proposed, this project does not require access to 131st Street, 123rd Street, nor 126th Street on the south side. We fully support the proposed berming, the landscaping, and retaining existing tree lines between the development and nearby housing standards we would advocate for in any business park location. The staff report does mention some concerns about premature extension of public services, but technically their infrastructure is already in place. We've been paying for the 161 kV line and the significant water lines in that area without generating any revenue from it. This project allows the community to benefit from infrastructure we've been investing in for many, many years. The financial benefits of the project were noted, and they are substantial. In terms of highest and best use, there really isn't anything quite like it. At $2.1 million per building, totaling over $12 million annually once funding, that far surpasses the nearly $2 million in tax generated by the former Cerner campus at full build-out. And the ongoing utility sales taxes further support the community. And lastly, we want to make clear that while the staff report references business park zoning as including manufacturing, warehouse distribution, and trucking, that characterization does not reflect this project. No manufacturing is being proposed, nor would we advocate for that use in this area. The development team has been actively working with the UG team for some time to ensure tree preservation, architectural design, and landscaping meet business park standards. We appreciate the time and effort put into the process by the residents. There was a recent neighborhood meeting and significant turnout, and probably one of the most civil neighborhood meetings that I've been a part of. And the client team as well have been incredibly responsive and put a lot of time and energy in meeting with UG team. We appreciate your time and support and approving the rezoning request for both north and south sides of the project. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, my name is Mindy Rocha. I am a local resident, a local small business owner, and a proponent that works on data centers currently in the Kansas City area. I'm a union mechanical contractor that has performed mechanical work on a few large data centers in the Northland. I also see what the big five can bring to communities, whether it is workforce development, they work with the Chamber of Commerce, how they just give back to the community. And I know that's one thing that we haven't talked about because we don't have a tenant yet, but just the workforce development, the programs they bring to the community, the food bank issues they've brought, like I've personally been a part of bringing food in and taking it to local districts and just working in the school districts with these clients and just I know they say sound is an issue, but standing on those sites, you don't have a sound issue. So just as somebody who is a resident that lives in Piper and a local business owner who works on these, they bring great things to our community.
Great. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay. Anyone want to speak against the proposal? Anyone opposed? Yes, sir.
Neil Palmer, reside at 2600 North 131st Street, also on property at 2520 and 2440 131st Street. I'm not standing here in favor or opposed at the present time, and I want to be very clear about this. This is a phenomenal project for the city, for the county, but it's one of those things that everybody wants, but nobody wants it in their backyard, or in my case, my front yard. And I could go into detail about the staff report, highlight a whole lot of things in here. I do want to make comment both at the neighborhood meeting and again tonight, the reference to Corps of Engineers. I took it upon myself to contact the Corps of Engineers with the entire plan that was there. I talked to Mr. Matthew Shively. I'll quote from an email. Thanks for the information. And this brief part, he works within the regulatory branch, which is closely connected to the engineering division. I can tell you that our project database has no record of any coordination relative to the data center. We do have records on the residential developments that were previously proposed on the southern end of the southern parcel between 2006 and 2021. Obviously, they were never built, but USACE did not require any on-site encumbrances such as restricted migration areas. With that, I really would like to have the developers consider different footprints. A building that's almost 1,500 foot long, no matter how much aesthetic enhancements you put on it, there's just not enough lipstick for that pig. It's akin to the Berlin Wall. They're 36 foot tall. And these data centers are usually built modular. And if it's true that they have one tenant that they're vying for, no co-location, it's easy to break these buildings down into modules. The first thing the developer is going to say is, yeah, that costs us more money. I got to believe that the UG is going to require fire separation walls in these buildings in some form. A 2-hour or 4-hour separation wall is a lot less expensive than an end wall. While I appreciate the continued discussion, and particularly the discussion of berming and trees on 131st Street, there's two kinds. We see one at the Urban Outfitters that's more or less a dike, flat top, wide berm. You see other ones up at the Amazon facility where the woodlands used to be that have quite a bit of undulation. They use a lot of natural trees. I think that would be more appropriate for what we have and where we're at. I don't want to contest the science of the sound. On a number of decibels that there. I've been around a lot of data centers in my day as a builder. I do know from where we reside that we hear the speedway quite regularly, and we hear sandstone, and on certain nights you can also smell sandstone. So things carry on the wind out there, as you might imagine, and sound's one of them. One of the requirements in a planned business district is that all operations shall be conducted within a fully enclosed building. That to me would include generators, chillers. At those neighborhood meeting, they said they weren't going to use any cooling towers, that it would be all air-to-air exchange. Those would be normally on the rooftop. I don't know how you mitigate sound off of those because they need, ventilation to be able to work. But the staff report did talk about cooling towers, and chillers. So I don't know what we're having there. The discussion of 131st Street, while I know they don't have a entrance on that, 131st Street south of the half section line is wrecked. The city doesn't have any money to go deal with it. So I know that the school district had to develop their half of the road on the north half of that street. And I would expect that something be done with the developer while we're doing this. My final request, as I wrote to Mr. Hand this afternoon and to the commissioner, was I would request that these applications be held over for continuance. This is a very, very major project, has a lot of moving parts to it. It's going to have a huge impact, hopefully positively, to the community, both financially and from the neighborhoods. While I could question why other sites weren't selected, I think that would be appropriate for further discussion. You can go within 1.5 miles from these locations and find parcels that in the master plan are earmarked for commercial development. These aren't. I don't know why we go through a Plan KC effort 2 years ago and there's no mention of any business park in this area. Now all of a sudden money appears, so we're going to throw the plan out the window and do whatever we want. I would also note, and this may seem as a technicality, but I did report to the planning department that notices posted on the property should have been on site no later than March 25th for this hearing. They did not appear on site until the 26th, which was the day before the neighborhood meeting. And the sign on the south side hasn't been visible since March the 30th. The ordinance does state that the applicant shall make a good faith effort to maintain the sign for at least 20 days, immediately preceding the date of the hearing and any continuances thereof. The applicant shall prominently display the sign at its location of property conspicuous from a public street, and that they shall be maintained. And if I've had to do this before for my own property, when wind gets it or somebody else gets it, you come down, you got to put another sign up and put it back out there. The whole purpose is not to let just the people within 200 feet of the development know, but everybody that's in the area. I was also told, although it's hearsay, that one of the property owners didn't receive the notice, but I haven't talked to her personally. I think the biggest issue I have is this information just came out this morning. Section 27-200 of the Code and Ordinance says that the applicant and other interested parties should obtain the staff report from the department, blah, 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 3 days prior to the hearing at which the application is scheduled to be heard. That's today. I don't know how you all, as with the stewardship you're entrusted with, can make a decision like this over 5, 6, 7, 8 hours that you had this information today. I further requested Mr. Hand to invoke the Code of Ordinances, Section 27-212. The applicants for major amendments shall include at least 2 public planning charrettes or workshops within or near the subject area. I think that should be in the best prudence of everybody concerned, get the community input. He certainly has the authority to invoke that. Given these are 2 separate and distinct parcels, I'd like to suggest that we have 2 meetings for each of the development applications. That'd be a total of 4 meetings. I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to go back and do the neighborhood meeting again on the signage thing, because it was a good meeting, and I think we could move forward from that as long as we do the workshops that the Code of Ordinances projects. With that, I will just note that there's about 167 acres that's acquired but not being used. I understand a lot of this is for buffers and other things, but I think if we were to look at configurations, if we can't find a better site, if we're going to be stuck with this, there's a way to do it and make it more park-like as intended by the ordinances and the code. And I appreciate your time and attention to the matter and hope that you'll consider the continuation in the best interest of everybody here.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Anyone else like to speak to this case? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
David Wilson, 2450 North 131st Street. I have been in contact with Mr. Phelps. Appreciate your email back and forth. Thank you. Thanks for the change there. That looked better. I just have a couple of questions.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is the place to get them answered.
It's now or never.
Has there been any talk to the fire service about these buildings? That's 3 million square feet of highly flammable plastics and whatever sort of AC coolant they're using. I'm just curious if they've had anything to say about this yet.
Okay.
There was mention the first time that I'd heard of it today, of them putting a sidewalk along 131st Street, and that's awesome. But you're going to be putting it next to a gravel road. So there needs to be something done with 131st Street, whether it's done by the city, whether it's done by them. The school being built up at the other end has completely destroyed that street. And I know I drive it several times a day and have to dodge. We've talked about electrical a lot, but we've spoken nothing about water. What kind of mains do they have out there? Is it gonna be able to support their project plus the fire service needs? You know, I know in those kind of districts, they have to have a certain number of fire hydrants in a certain area. And then I just noticed my question on one of the slides, it said it was going to reduce delays by emergency services. I was just wondering, how does this data center affect that?
Okay. All right. That it?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see if we can get you some answers. Anyone else? Okay. We'll go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. If we get the representative, Mr. Maxwell, could you come back up to address a couple of questions? We'll start with the ones most recent. Fire service.
I think we've just only talked to the fire, looking at the plans through the normal planning department. We've heard no concerns that I know of or have come to my attention through all of this. Obviously, this is the first step in a rezoning process. We would then have preliminary plans, final plans, all the plannings that we have to go through and the building permit. But we plan to fall in line with all UG codes, and fire safety is obviously water mains. We have had good talks with the BPU about water. We know we can be served at the end of the day. I do not know the exact particularities of where it's coming from and how it's going and the size of the main. But I know that we have done preliminary due diligence on that and talked about that with the BPU. And nobody seems that we have any problem of being served on this site.
Okay. And what about, I also saw the slide where it talked about reducing delays for public safety. I'm assuming that's through data, or?
I think it's just the general concept of strengthening the fiber network and everything that's happening, and the use of all of that data coming through is helpful in building a more robust fiber system throughout the county.
Okay. And I think you talked about the building size before based on the possibility of the end users.
Yep.
Can you comment on anything regarding fire separation walls or anything like that?
Yeah, Mr. Palmer brings up great points. And to the answer about modulars and things like that, I would first say the normal developer of excuse of, hey, this will cost more, we can't do it. That is not really the world we operate in data centers, right? You still are in a scarce world and money is finite and things like that. But the normal answers that we would say to questions like that, if I had other clients and other types of uses, it is really not that issue. It is more making sure that these buildings work and function and that the tenant will lease them at the end of the day, and they will lease these facilities that work to their specs. So I can't speak specifically of, could we break it up and could we do those things? I just don't have that data and information. What I know is the buildings that we planned were exactly around the type and kind of spec that most of the big five
that your end users are going to want.
That they're going to want.
So going back to noise, speaking about generators and chillers and rooftop ventilator, I mean, I know we talked in your presentation about decibel levels, and I know we got down to the buzzing of a mosquito. Now, I will tell you, a buzzing of a mosquito by my ear is an annoying
It is annoying.
noise. So, if that happens all day long, then that is an annoying noise. But can you talk about these generators, chillers, and rooftop ventilators? It's a good point.
Yeah, I'll bring up Matt maybe to talk a little bit about the chillers, but I can tell you about the generators.
And you might explain what a chiller is.
Yeah. Let me do generators and then we'll do chillers as well. Gunnar, any chance I can go to our presentation? So first I'll pull up this site plan to show where the generators are. So the generators, if you look at where we have collections of two buildings, where you put the backup generators, and key to that is these are backup generators, right? They do not run day in and day out. They only run when power goes down because these facilities have to have to the 5 nines level of reliability, right? If the system goes down, the grid goes down, you still have to be able to provide power so that the important data in there is not lost. The backup generators go in that between the two buildings. So one, we're attenuating the sound of when those generators are turned on by being in the interim of those two, between those two facilities. There are approximately 5 groups of 9 generators that you see on these buildings. They will only kick on when there is, for actual use of the facility, they will only kick on when there is some kind of emergency out there. Interestingly, they provide for grid reliability because if there is an issue for the BPU system, we can be one of the first to be shut down because we have these backup generators so that other folks can use that power that the system has to keep residents and manufacturing businesses going. But they are generally, they have to be tested. They are tested approximately 12 times a year, so once a month. When they're tested once a month, we do not turn on every generator in the facility at one time. We instead cycle through them, run them for approximately 10 minutes a time, and move through all of them so that we check them. The other thing importantly about that, we don't cycle them and start them in the middle of the night. We don't do it on the weekend. You usually are going to schedule those tests between Tuesday to Thursday in the middle of the day when you're going to have the least folks impacted by it as folks are out at their other business.
So when the tornado sirens are going off, you're going to fire up the generators.
Correct. We'll look for those middle of the day, middle of the week times. And it is a relatively short period of time that they will be running. And the numbers that I was citing about the 65 decibels, that is when our generators are running. They are not inside a building specifically, but they are all housed inside those areas and housed with concealers and otherwise that still make them work, but lower the amount of sound that is provided on it. The chillers, there is a fair amount of heat that is produced by all of these computers in there. Everybody knows what their laptop feels like. Times that multiple times over when you have all of those servers running and you're having to figure out a way to transfer out that heat. There's a lot of different ways you can do that heat transfer and to keep these buildings cool and keep these servers cool. Air cooled and evaporative cooling can happen a large portion of the time. You also have liquid cooling that can occur through it. You can also have hybrid systems that use both of those. In the Midwest here, as I understand it, the amount of time that the times that you run into problems is when we're over 85 degrees. As all of us roughly know, we run over 85 degrees, but it's approximately 90 to 120 days that you're in that period of time here in the Midwest where you're needing to have that liquid cooling and the additional air cooling that's coming on. I'll let maybe Matt go into a little bit more on what we're thinking. Again, each tenant has slightly different ways that they run their chilling facilities, but we can talk maybe in generalities of what we looked at.
So with the current technology options that we have for cooling the chips within the building, there's water cooled, which uses the chilling towers, which is pulls water from the municipality, cycles it through. You get the evaporation from the water. That's the high water use that you hear about. But there are other technologies for air cooled systems, which are less use on the water system and the municipality as a whole. So there are options. This comes up with every data center development all across the country. How are we going to provide the cooling water, and how are we going to make sure that the heat is under control in an effective way? So what we're having to do is look at newer technologies, which is always improving. And I would say that, by the time that this development gets legs and becomes fully developed, we'll have a better system, better chillers, better cooling towers, all that type of thing. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Okay.
Got anything to add? Let's add one thing.
Yes, sir. Your name?
Scott Coriel, Belknott and Associates, 12730 State Line Road, Leawood,
Thank
Kansas. When we talk about the big five, there's a huge environmental consciousness with them. And because of that, they've really moved away from the cooling towers. And I can't stand here and tell you what's going to be used, but they tend to go to the air-cooled chillers. And the reason for that is you have a closed loop. That water cycling into the building, pulling heat out, rejecting the heat, going back into the building. And the only water that's put into that system is makeup water for a little bit of loss. Whereas with your traditional cooling tower, you're evaporating a lot of water. So
just more green or?
Yes, exactly. It's a much more sustainable solution. And that's really what the big five have gone to because of that environmental footprint.
All right, thank you. And I guess I'm going to open up to the commissioners as well to see if I missed anything. But with regard to signage, I mean, I know that you yourself are not responsible for putting out signs because you make too much money. So they don't certainly pay you to go out there and plunk those signs in the yard. But can you comment on who was responsible and
Yeah.
the signage question and noticing question?
My associate and my paralegal were here. I believe we had the signs out on exactly March 25th was the date that we understood for. And I think we have to sign an affidavit to sign for same. And we have done that because we put the signs out on March 25th.
All right. And were you responsible for the notices as well?
Yeah, we sent all of the notices out and we took the list that we had and sent all of the notices out as we were supposed to do.
All right, thank you. Did I miss anything, commissioners? Anything that you needed clarifications on? Commissioner Jones.
One of the residents asked about this particular piece of land essentially being selective. Why was this? What's the biggest reason that this particular, these parcels of land were picked over others that perhaps would have had fewer requirements?
Yeah. First, Commissioner Jones, coming to the residents who asked, coming to 550 acres in Wyandotte County is fairly exceptional. That is pretty rare these days. The days of being able to go and acquire the land that the Speedway was on and find 1,200 acres, we have long left that. All of our success in development has long left the world where there are large tracts for development. I would say, given all of the projects that we have worked on over the years, this is actually sort of the frontier of where we are in the county. If you look east of this, most of those parcels have other uses that have been planned, zoned, projects that are worked on or going. This is about where we are. That is the real frontier of development. And so being able to put together 550 acres, we found this to be the place where we could put together that assemblage. Also, though, and just as critical, is the existing BPU transmission infrastructure that already exists on parallel that we all see when we drive by it, right? That infrastructure of those transmission lines is absolutely critical for being able to site the substations that make all of this go. So between both the availability of land, where we are sort of from a development perspective in the county and those transmission lines really made this, we think, an ideal location. And I would echo some of the things that Greg said and are absolutely true. We believe this is a relatively low impact use, but high property tax, high sort of bang for the buck use that it would allow the Piper School District to diversify its tax base and provide much needed relief for all of the residents out there. And we're doing that in a way that has much less externalities than other industrial or manufacturing or large retail uses would. So, putting all of that together, we really do see this as an ideal location, Commissioner Jones.
All right. Commissioner Jones, you satisfied? All right. Thank you. Any other clarifications needed for the commission before I move on to Director Hand? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to Director Hand for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. I will also provide my comments for both sides of Parallel Parkway. Again, we're looking at a data center project on the north and south side of Parallel Parkway. The rezone would include multiple different zoning categories to BP Business Park, the replat, as well as a master plan amendment to Business Park, which is a land use category in the Prairie Delaware Piper Area Plan. The site is in the Prairie Delaware Piper Area Plan. Before this evening, staff had received no letters in support or opposition. There are no notices of violation on the property. Excuse me, staff recommends approval with conditions, including some of the mitigation measures noted today, including sidewalks, enhanced landscaping and berming, as well as open space easements on some of the ephemeral trees and other wetlands on site the buildings were cited to avoid. We've asked for those to be preserved in perpetuity via an easement. Also, the project will have to come back for a final development plan. It is a little short on parking, but that can be addressed in the FDP.
Questions for staff? I have one. Gunnar, has there been any internal discussions with regard to street improvement of 131st Street?
The Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. The Public Works Department reviewed the traffic impact study from the applicant and determined no improvements were needed. All of the sidewalk upgrades are a part of the GoDOT mobility strategy, which carried over the Sidewalk and Trails Master Plan, which included sidewalks for 131st Parallel, 126, and State.
All right. Any other questions for Director Hand? All right. If there are none, I will seek a motion when ready. Gunnar, any comments with regard to one of the neighbors' concerns about a holdover to possibly discuss a few changes or anything like that?
I defer to the wisdom of the commission if they felt like we needed more time. Staff feels adequate review of the time. We did take the input from the neighborhood meeting and ask the applicant to provide enhanced landscaping and look to double down on some of the berms they had originally proposed. They provided those upgraded landscape plans accordingly. The one note that the planning director has the ability to call for charrettes. Technically, we have not updated in 2025 that memo like we typically do at the beginning of the year. So technically, without that updated memo, which I've meant to do earlier this year, had not done, I cannot call for those charrettes as suggested.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Strauss, you had your hand up. Did you get your question answered?
Yeah, I'm working through it because he had mentioned a couple of things about you kind of addressed him with the workshop thing, and I haven't been around a project that I've had to go to one of those workshops, so I didn't know what those workshops actually did or what they helped the community to do, but other than a neighborhood planning meeting. So I'm just trying to work through that kind of piece of it right there.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for staff? If not, I'll stand for a motion.
Mr. Chair.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
So, Gunnar, are you satisfied? Can you just confirm you were satisfied with there are no concerns with regard to the timing and the amount of time and information being provided in an untimely manner? for consideration?
We had a heavy lift this last cycle of projects. We were able to get all of the staff reports to the Planning Commission by last Friday. So you did have these staff reports last Friday for review. We are still in the process of migrating over to the city clerk's civic clerk system. Our goal is, we've talked about this for the last couple of months because we've been working on it. We are currently projected to finish that transition over to civic clerk by our next meeting in May, and that should resolve some of the issues that the Planning Commission dealt with. It should also open up all of our staff reports, agendas, minutes onto the internet like they used to be before SharePoint went down. So Planning Commission has had these staff reports for the required amount of time. Unfortunately, we're still working through all the mechanics online to get that stuff out to the public in a more transparent, user-friendly way.
I do have one other question too. So are there plans going, or what plans are there as far as you know, and maybe the petitioner needs to answer this, to stay in touch with the community, the UG, just in case going down the road, if this were approved, there are issues related to the BPU or otherwise, and the community certainly?
I would defer to the applicant, but I would note real quick that, again, a final development plan will have to go through, and so that will have to go through the process. Final development plans do not require additional neighborhood meetings, but they will go through the notice process and obviously be here when the applicant's ready for a final development plan, if this moves forward.
Yeah, I would highlight what Gunnar just said is that one, there is the formal process that we know we need to go through, and we know, given this will be the largest investment ever in the history of Wyandotte County. That's pretty stunning to think about for all of the unbelievably successful projects this community has done. This project, from a pure dollars and cents, will exceed all of them, all of them. We know that with that big of an investment, there will also be eyes on us at every single point. And we don't just shirk that, we welcome that and understand that. And the point of that is, Commissioner Jones, we understand this will very much be an iterative process. Not only will we be working with Gunnar and planning staff through a final plan approval and this commission, but there will also be components that we will be taking forward in front of the full UG commission and the commissioners there and need to talk about. Our tenant will be involved in all of this, and as one of the folks talked about, these are folks that take not only sustainability incredibly important, they take their duties to the community important. We believe they will be very active in the community, as will we. So we view this as very much the beginning of a conversation. And if there's comments, there was one other comment made that Mr. Palmer made somewhere about the difference in the berms at one facility versus the Amazon facility. We are not in any way tied to this exact berm. If the community would like it placed slightly in a different format or way, or make it wind, or we can look at any of those things and would look at any of those things through the final plan process and otherwise to mitigate neighborhood impacts in this. So sorry that I went on so long to a very short question, Commissioner Jones, but we very much view this as a process and will be reaching out and continue to reach out to the community to make sure we can mitigate impacts if we're lucky enough to move forward with this commission and the UG committee.
Thank you for that response.
All right, Commissioner Strauss.
My last one, 131st Street has been in a conversation many days in this chamber. And with the development going all around there, and now this particular development, I'm trying to figure out why we're not, if they're improving the sidewalks and the run up against 131st Street, why are we not just improving 131st Street? I mean, with traffic and construction and all that's going to take place in that area, that would just kind of be, for me, would make sense to just make all of that. If we're going to call it a business park, everything around that needs to be up to that type of standard, just in case we do have something that has to come down 31st Street in the construction of this project. And it doesn't have, that is the second phase of this. So it doesn't have to be during the first phase. I just don't know why we're not looking at 131st Street improvement.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. So a couple things. We mentioned the Public Works reviewed the traffic impact, determined there was no need for it. So the nexus for traffic improvements and rebuilding the road, at least in staff's opinion, doesn't exist. There's a separate policy that specifically notes roadway segments, and if development were to occur, that development would require the amenities of those public infrastructure, i.e. sidewalks. So that happens sort of separately. I understand what you're saying. You are the planning commission. You can put forward what other conditions you see fit.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Strauss, you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. I feel like from a discuss, I don't know if we can have that discussion. I don't know how that works, but I just feel like 131st Street, we've kicked the ball down the road so many times, and now we're putting one of the largest developments, as they say, in Wyandotte County, right on 131st Street. Though they don't touch 131st Street with the ingress, it's right up against it, up against that property line. Why we wouldn't improve that in this particular project, when I've kind of seen us do that in the past with some other projects.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Jones.
I just want to piggyback on that and ask Gunnar a quick question. Is it that it's a reactive situation as opposed to a proactive situation? Because we always talk about existing traffic. And so if the studies that have been done prior to the project indicate and the results show that it may need it down the line, is it that you're saying that so far, from staff's perspective, it's not needed right now?
When Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. So when Public Works traffic engineer reviewed the traffic analysis, it didn't warrant any increase in or any upgrades to the public right of way, again, other than the sidewalks. And Commissioner Strauss made the point, there's no ingress and egress. There is no access on 131st Street. That doesn't mean someone might not take 131st to get to this if they were employed there or so on and so forth. So I'm not claiming that. But again, the Planning Commission can apply whatever conditions of approval they see fit for any land entitlement above and beyond what staff's recommendation is.
But the impact to the traffic is what, 50 cars per building? Is that what we said as far as employees?
It wouldn't be 50 cars per se, but the applicant noted that it was approximately 50 employees per building. So we're looking at 300 total for all of this acreage. It's really not that lot.
All right.
And mostly it's going to be on Parallel Parkway, which has already seen a significant reconstruction to higher standards.
All right.
It is those north-south streets that feed into it that are the issue this far west in the county, though.
All right. Other clarifications from staff for the commission? I know. Once we close the public portion, Neil, I'm sorry. Other questions from the commission? Okay, I'll entertain a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones.
Oh, I know we got to take this in parts. So
the first.
I'm going to start with the master plan for.
Master plan amendment would be first, then change of zone, followed by plat, and we'll take them in two separate pieces. We'll start off with the one at 13000 Parallel Parkway.
Okay, so I make a motion for master plan case number 2025-004. Staff stipulations and comments for the approval.
What type of motion is it? You just said you were making a motion.
Approval.
Motion for approval on master plan amendment 2025-004 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir. Just to see what happens.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Strauss,
Aye.
Ernst, Ernst,
Oh, aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
Did you get straws on that?
Yeah, I did.
All right, thank you. All right, next would be the change of zone. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve change of zone case number 2025-005, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
All right, motion made for approval of change of zone application 2025-005 by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Straws,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, and finally, the plat. Mr. Jones.
On this portion, I make a motion to approve plat number 2025-008, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
All right, thank you. Motion made for approval of plat 2025-008 by Commissioner Jones, once again seconded by Commissioner Ernst.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Straws,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And now we will look at address 12425 Parallel Parkway. First up, master plan amendment, Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve master plan amendment case number 2025-003, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
A motion to approve master plan amendment 2025-003 made by Commissioner Jones and seconded once again by Commissioner Ernst. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Straws,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, next up will be change of zone application 2025-006, Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve change of zone case number 2025-006, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
A motion to approve change of zone application 2025-006 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second? Once again, Commissioner Ernst.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Straws,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, and finally, the motion for plat 2025-009, Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve plat number 2025-009, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
A motion to approve plat 2025-009, again made by Commissioner Jones and seconded by Commissioner Ernst. Correct, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Okay, Straws,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you. Just for clarification, Gunnar, there will be plenty of time for input regarding the final development plan, things like that going forward.
Gunnar and Director of Planning and Design, we have the Board of Commissioners hearing on May 1st for additional discussion and feedback, and then the final development plan is required whenever they're ready. So we expect that in the next couple months.
All right, thank you. So the master plan amendment and change of zone applications for both 1300 parallel and 12425 parallel will both be going to the Board of Commissioners on May 1st for their approval. All right, thank you all.
The next application is special use permit SP 2024-088, Jesus Santoya. It is a special use permit to keep pigeons at 2542 South 12th Terrace in conjunction with Boza 2024-027 The final items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area, the city's currently adopted master plan, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No. And Director Han is going to present on this case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. The applicant left after their Boza case when it was held over. So very quickly, this special use permit is being heard in conjunction with Boza 2024-027, which was held over for 30 days earlier this evening. Again, this is the special use permit part of the pigeons for more than 6 fowl as per required by the code. This is in the Plan KCK Rosedale area, Rosedale neighborhood. No support, no opposition. Again, there is an active notice of violation for the more than allowed accessory structures. Staff recommends holdover for 30 days.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Anybody in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? I want to give you that opportunity. If you're online, raise your hand. Seeing none, we've already heard from staff, so I will stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Ernst?
Motion to hold over for 30 days.
A motion to hold over made by Commissioner Ernst, seconded by Commissioner Jones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Any discussion for a 30-day holdover? Roll call.
Is Beth back in the room, by the way?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, he's going to abstain because he did not hear the case.
Okay. No problem. Strauss,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
All right, so you have 5-0 and 1 abstention.
One abstention, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The next application is special use permit SP 2024-116, Nadia Griffith with Latin Quarters. It is a special use permit for a drinking establishment with live entertainment and events at 508 Kansas Avenue. The following items were included as part of this case. The city is currently zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this case?
No.
No. All right. It's my understanding Mr. Griffith is not in the audience. Gunnar, are you going to present on this?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a special use permit for a drinking establishment, live entertainment, and events. This is in the Armourdale area plan. Staff had received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There's some older notices of violation of police activity germane to the case. Staff was preparing a recommendation of denial, but received late the neighborhood meeting information previously requested from previous holdovers. We did get that information again late, but we also found that the upstairs of the building in question, which the last we knew was apartments, had been converted into another event space / dance / bar area. That changes a lot on the project site, and so we would request a holdover for 30 days to allow the applicant to address all these issues. They need to get a retroactive building permit. It changes their occupancy load, which they need to determine by the fire department. It also changes their parking requirement, which impacts their current variance for parking. They're going to have to get another Boza with that added space. We're also finding evidence of adult entertainment. So if they want to keep that type of use, we'd have to renotice the whole thing, do a neighborhood meeting all over again. So we were going to give them time to address those concerns by next month.
All right, so it will 30 days do it? There's a lot to take in based on what you said.
They've been holed over enough. I think all they get is 30 more days.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? We'll go ahead and open up the public comment. Was there anyone here tonight to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Raise your hand or come to the mic. Seeing none, we've already heard from Director Hannah. His recommendation is for a 30-day holdover. I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Ernst.
Motion to hold over for the last 30 days.
All right, thank you. Motion for holdover special use application 2024-116, seconded by Commissioner Jones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you.
All right. The next application is special use permit SP 2025-004. Adam and Laura Johnson. It is a special use permit to keep animals at 3030 South 63rd Street. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No. Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Johnson, are you in the audience? Adam, Laura Johnson, there we go, online. Hey, Ms. Johnson, I got you queued up, ready to speak. If you would unmute yourself, please give us your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do here.
My name is Adam Johnson. I'm here with my wife, Laura. Our address is 3030 South 63rd Street, Kansas City, Kansas 66106. And we just have a small flock of birds, chickens that we want to keep and raise their eggs, and we give them away to people at church, all of our extra ones. We are pursuing the idea of permaculture with an orchard and a food forest and developing a garden. So it's a lot of subsistence farming, or whatever you want to call it. Just kind of, I like to have my hands in the dirt.
Okay, and what's the number of chickens or fowl that you're going to have at your property?
Well, the max would be 25. Right now we have 17.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand or come to the microphone. Seeing no one, we'll go to Director Hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a special use permit for up to 25 fowl. The previous SUP has since lapsed, but staff was reviewing this as essentially a renewal for the 1 acre parcel. This is in the planned KCK comprehensive area in the Turner neighborhood. Staff had received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There's some older notices of violation on the property, which have all been since rectified. Staff recommends approval with conditions for 5 years.
5 years, all right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve special use case number 2025-004, subject to that stipulations and comments.
All right, thank you. Motion for approval made by Commissioner Jones on special use application 2025-004. Commissioner Strauss, is that a second?
It is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. This application will be heard once again before the Board of Commissioners on May 1st at 7 p.m.
Okay, the next application is special use permit SP 2025-012, Cynthia Nielsen. It is a special use permit for a short-term rental at 3030 South 64th Street. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's official adopted master plan for the area, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case, the notice for the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
I just want to clarify that address is 3030 North 64th, correct? All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
3030 North
Nielsen?
64th Street.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Again, name and address, please, for the record.
Cindy Nielsen, 3030 North 64th Street.
Okay, tell us what you'd like to do.
We would like to have a special use permit to conduct an Airbnb.
Okay, anything else we need to know about the property?
It already has a rental permit, an active permit.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? And this was previously used as an Airbnb. You're just bringing it in compliance with city ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You started to say no, and he was back there nodding his head yes, and I was thinking, okay, which way are we going on?
Not by a previous owner. Is that,
Okay.
was that the question? By a previous owner? No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand or come to the mic. Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a special use permit for a non-owner occupied short-term rental. It has been operating since last fall, but they're here to come in from the cold, quote unquote, which is a good thing. This is in the planned KCK area, North Midtown neighborhood. Staff received, sorry, it's a little fuzzy. No letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are some older notices of violation on the property, all which have since been rectified. Staff recommends approval. Yes, for 1 year with a maximum of 7 people on site, 3 cars off street.
All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Strauss.
Jump in here. I move to approve SP 2025-012 according to staff stipulations and comments.
All right, thank you. Motion for approval of special use application 2025-012 made by Commissioner Strauss. Is there a second? Commissioner Ernst, second?
Yes, sir. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones. Jones,
She's trying. Thumbs up, Commissioner Jones?
Okay.
Yes, that's an aye.
all right. Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. This will be heard once again, May 1st before the Board of County Commissioners, 7 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience, too.
Okay. Next application is special use permit SP 2025-013, Premier RE 1801 LLC. It is a special use permit for a 2,300 square foot building expansion on a used automotive dealership to provide vehicle maintenance and repair services. Oh, the official items were included as part of the record of this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this application?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Hinton, I see your hand up. Are you representing the applicant in this matter?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, please go ahead and give us your name and address, please. Tell us what you'd like to do.
Yeah, my name is Don Hinton. I live at 6131 Acuff Street, Shawnee, Kansas, 66216. I'm the general manager of Victory Hyundai at the Legends. We have occupied that property for about 8 or 9 years now. I was the general manager of the used car Premier Auto Outlet. We are now Victory Hyundai at the Legends as of April 1st of 2024. And we are requesting a special use permit to add on 4 bays to the back of our current building so that we can service and maintain our customers' vehicles and the vehicles that we have up for sale.
All right, thank you. Any questions for this applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. This project amends SP 2016-54 for the sale of autos previously on the site that the applicant partially mentioned. This would expand that use from just sales to sales and maintenance for the bays that are being proposed as an expansion of the use. Again, they're going to do detailing, repair, and other sort of maintenance. This is in the Prairie Delaware Piper area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are some older notices of violation. The parcel includes some vacant, some undeveloped parcels that have all since been rectified as they continue to expand their project on the site. Staff recommends approval with conditions for 5 years, including as the proposed addition comes in, there's some tweaking to the sidewalk to the front door of the building, some additional landscaping maintenance, as well as making sure that expansion follows the commercial design guidelines.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I will stand for a motion when ready. Mr. Strauss.
I move to approve SP 2025-013 according to staff stipulations and comments and improvements required to move forward with the project.
Thank you. Motion for approval made by Commissioner Strauss of special use application 2025-013. Commissioner Ernst, is that a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. This will be heard once again on May 1st before the Board of County Commissioners at 7 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Hinton.
Thank you.
Okay, our next application is SP 2025-015, Brian Glasser. It is a special use permit for a short-term rental at 616 Elizabeth Avenue. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No. Okay, Mr. Glasser, I have you queued up, ready to speak. If you would, start off with the name and address and tell us what you want to do here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian Glasser. The address is 616 Elizabeth Ave, Kansas City, Kansas 66101. As you can see, this has traditionally been a STR that me and my partner lived at originally when we first purchased it back in 2018. As the staff comment said, took a break during COVID because things were pretty weird and awful at that time. And, you know, since then, got it back up and running, and we've had zero issues over here. We have a great relationship with our neighbors on all sides. We've even had them, you know, try to stay at the properties when they have family coming into town. So overall, not much else to say here, but, you know, just continued operations.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll go to staff and get their comment. Director Hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a special use permit for, it is an owner-occupied short-term rental, but Mr. Glasser proposes to rent it out as a short-term rental when he travels, so when he's not at the location. So therefore, it does trigger the special use permit as per the ordinance adopted in May 2023. This is in the central area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There's some older notices of violation from when it was vacant before Mr. Glasser owned the property. Staff recommends approval for 1 year with conditions. It's a smaller parcel, smaller house, so 5 people on site, 2 cars off street max.
All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve special use case number 2025-015, subject to staff stipulations and comments for 1 year approval.
Thank you. Motion to approve special use application 2025-015 for 1 year made by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Commissioner Miller, is that a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Straws,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. This application will be heard one more time on May 1st before the Board of County Commissioners at 7 p.m.
The next application is Plat 2025-001 with Paul Gohausen. It is a preliminary plat and final plat for Premier Farms, a 3-lot, 34.47 acre subdivision at 6224 North 107th Street. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and record and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Okay, Mr. Gohausen, I have you queued up ready to speak. If you would, start off with your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do on this property.
Yes, again, my name is Paul Gohausen. I reside at 8435 Cherokee Lane in Leawood, Kansas. This is the last parcel of the Doan family. One time included 3,000 acres in Wyandotte and Leavenworth counties. So we're dividing it into 4 parcels that will be sold off and eventually homes put on them.
All right, and you have a total of 34.47 acres now, correct?
That's correct, and the balance will be left for the 4th parcel.
All right, thank you. Any questions for this applicant? Seeing none, go to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll go to staff and get Director Hand's comments.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a plat for 4-lot subdivision. This is in the Prairie Delaware Piper area plan. Again, we're looking at 3 new parcels and 1 large remainder. There has been no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are some older notices of violation on the property, which has all been rectified. You can see in this map, there is some, it's not technically in the floodplain. This is a map that shows future flooding potential. And so we were able to work with the applicant to develop build lines, if you remember that from a previous item, that keeps any future house on the 3 parcels to be sold off out of any potential flooding area in the future.
All right.
Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I will stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Motion to approve plat case number 2025-001, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Okay, motion to approve plat 2025-001 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Straws?
It is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Okay, Straws,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. And this will not go forward to the Board of Commissioners.
The next is plat application, plat 2025-003 with Belmont Development Company. It is a final plat for the replat of Legacy Park Estates, Tract C, near 229 North 64th Terrace, in conjunction with Boza 2025-008, 009, and 010. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the city's official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contact to disclose on this application?
No. Hey, Mr. Hamilton, I see your hand up. Are you the applicant in this matter?
Yeah, I'm an owner, a developer on this project.
All right, if you would start off with your name and address and tell us what you wanted to do here.
Derek Hamilton, 222 East Main Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So this is a affordable housing rental project that we built about 3 years ago. And when we went to do the final as-built survey, we discovered that 3 of the 30 houses have some front yard setback issues, ranging from 2 feet to 11 inches, as we discussed in the previous meeting about 3 hours ago. I'm happy to answer any questions. And
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions for this applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand for his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this case was heard in conjunction with Boza 2025-008-009-1010 that were all heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals earlier this evening and approved front yard setback variances. Again, this is the plat that needed to remove the build 2 lines to enable the variance to move forward. And so this again, it was ultimately an issue of a survey in the field issue before those houses were constructed. Again, these are all constructed homes. This is in the planned KCK area, Midtown South neighborhood. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There's some older notices of violation from before this site was developed. All have been rectified by the development. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve plat case number 2025-003, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion to approve plat 2025-003 made by Commissioner Jones. Can I get a second? Commissioner Ernst?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0. All right.
All right, thank you. This will not be heard. So we'll move on to the next case.
Okay. The next application is plan review PR 2024-01041. Austin Thompson with Atlas Land Consulting. Or I think on the thing, yeah, okay, never mind. Atlas Land Consulting. Final development plan to convert a vacant school building into a 25-unit apartment building at 313 North 10th Street in conjunction with MPL 2025-002. MPL 2025-002 master plan amendment from public to semi-public to high density residential in the central area plan for a school apartment building conversion at 313 North 10th Street. The following items were included as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Jones, did you have something? All right, thank you.
No, sorry.
That's all right. Crystal Voth, I have you queued up ready to speak. Are you representing the applicant in this matter?
Yes, thank you, sir. Good evening, Crystal Voth, Atlas Land Consulting. We just wanted to bring this forward. This is part of a project that was previously approved. This is just the master plan amendment. Everything that was laid out in the staff report is correct. There won't be any changes to the external portion of the building. We're just asking for this official change to be made so that we could go ahead and move forward with this project. I'll answer any questions that you have, but I think everything is lined out in the staff report really nicely.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case, please raise your hand. Hearing none, we'll go to Director Hannigan's comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this final plan review is being heard in conjunction with Master Plan Amendment 2025-002, to high density residential from public, semi-public. Again, this is a school, an old previously abandoned school converting into apartments in the central area plan. The previous changes zone had already been approved. It also functioned as the preliminary development plan. So this is the final development plan of that preliminary development plan. A condition of approval of that changes zone was to add on the master plan amendment, again, semi-public, public, semi-public school to the new use, which is the apartment. Staff recommends approval with conditions, including following the multifamily design guidelines.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Hand?
Yes.
All right, we'll need two motions. The first one will be for the master plan amendment. Mr. Jones, go ahead.
And I accidentally raised my hand before, but I did have something. So is
All right.
there needs to be a correction.
All right. What is
Case
that?
number 041 versus 042.
Plan review application should read 042. Is that correct?
Rose, I saw 42 on the screen. We have on our agenda for case
I think the slide.
024-041.
Yeah, I think the slide is incorrect. PR 2024-041 is the correct number. I apologize. I'll
Okay.
fix it.
All right, slide is
No
incorrect.
worries.
So this will be for on master plan amendment 2025-002 is what I'm needing right now.
Yes. So motion to approve master plan case number 2025-002, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. That motion for approval was made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Strauss?
It is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. The master plan amendment will move forward to the Board of Commissioners on May 8th at 7 p.m. Now I need a motion for the plan review application. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve plan review case number 2024-041, subject to staff stipulations and comments inclusive of multifamily design guidelines.
Thank you. Motion to approve plan review application 2024-041 made by Commissioner Jones, and that is seconded by Commissioner Strauss. Is that correct?
Correct. Sorry.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Okay, Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, our next application is Plan Review PR 2025-003. Luke Williams with Ravina Farms. It is a final development plan review for for site improvements to a landscaping business at 7301 State Avenue. The following items were included as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area, the city's currently adopted master plan in the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this application?
No.
Mr. Williams, are you in the audience? Mr. Williams, Luke Williams. Okay, we'll go to Director Hand, let him go ahead and present on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a final development plan for a landscaping business at 7301 State Avenue. The change of zone, and which also functioned as the preliminary development plan, had previously been approved. This is the one, if you guys remember, that is right off State Avenue and had the modification of the stream channel and therefore the floodplain from a previous owner. And so the applicant, who is going to lease this space now, wanted to just confirm that they're going to do minimal improvements until the floodplain stuff is resolved, and then move forward with all of the previous stuff approved in the change of zone. So it's kind of like the FDP represents the first, added, in essence, the first phase of the project, which is moving in, getting established, but not doing too much investment until the floodplain issue is corrected, because ultimately they don't know what FEMA is going to say about it. So that is reflected in the final development plan. There are no other changes other than the reflection of their sort of how they're going to deal with this floodplain issue, but they are going to move forward and try to get it corrected with the property owner, so that one day they can, in the lease, buy it and take over the property, which is, I believe, their intent. So this is in the Plan KCK area in the Midtown neighborhood. No support, no opposition. Again, there's some older notices of violation from when all this work was done without permits, which we hope to correct with this new applicant and property owner. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open the public portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in this online that wants to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Hearing none, we'll go, and we've already heard from Director Hand, so I'll now stand for a motion. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve Plan Review 2025-003, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion to approve Plan Review 2025-003 by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Strauss?
It is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you.
All right. Then it looks like our last application is Plan Review PR 2025-006, James Lukakovic with WSKF Architects. It's a final development plan to add a residence to 921 Homer Avenue. The following items were included as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area, the currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated April 14th, 2025, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does anyone have any contacts to disclose on this application?
No. Thank you. Mr. John Freshnock, I have you queued up for the speaker. Are you presenting on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, I will.
All right, go ahead, please.
My name is John Freshnock. I'm principal at WSKF Architects. Our address is 707 Minnesota Avenue, Suite 506, Kansas City, Kansas, 66101. This is an addition of a retirement residence for the Archbishop Newman, who will be it'll be built as part of the monastery complex at the Little Brothers of the Lamb. It is a home and a residence in character. Our only request to the Planning Commission is that we get a deviation for the commercial development guidelines, in that the proposed residence matches the monastery in material and style of construction. And we'd like to maintain that look and feel for this addition to the monastery complex. So it is a little strange, but we've been through this before where we have commercial guidelines that have to be have to be applied due to the zoning ordinance, but in this case, they really aren't appropriate. So we would like to request, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, that you consider our request for deviation for the list that is shown in the staff report. If you'd like to, I don't know, Rose, are you running the slideshow? Because if you go to the elevation page, you can understand what I'm talking about. So the photograph at the top of the page is the existing monastery of the Little Brothers of the Lamb. And then the residence is the building depicted in colored elevation below and in plan. So it is a very humble structure in the style of the original monastery and is intended to be just a simple retirement residence for the Archbishop, but then it will become a guest house for visitors to the monastery of the Little Brothers of the Lamb. So again, very small 3-bedroom home, and that's how it's intended to be used.
All right.
The other conditions for the staff report we agree with. It's just, if you see in the report, item 1 with the bullet points are the ones we're requesting a deviation. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Is this a stick-built residence?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the audience. Is there anyone online that would like to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? And I say online because there's nobody here in the chambers except us at this point. It's a very lonely room. Seeing none, we will go to Director Hanna, get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a final development plan, which is essentially another phase of the previous monastery project. Again, because it's technically a monastery, it is classified, you'd think it'd be a residence or some other type of use, but it does meet those commercial design guidelines, which is why we're seeking the applicant's requesting the deviation. This is in the central area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are some older notice of violation on the property from before it was even developed by the monastery. Those have all been rectified. Staff recommends approval with conditions in addition to the deviation, which is laid out in that first condition. So all you have to do is recommend approval of the project with conditions, will accept those deviations and allow the project to move forward as is. The other condition to note here is there's a sidewalk gap along the street for the section that is the really from the entrance to the monastery over to this new house to the east, which would again line up with the other houses to the east as well as the houses to the west on the other side of the monastery. This project closes that sidewalk gap as well. So again, staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I'll stand for, I'm sorry, Commissioner Ernst.
It's not so much a question as a statement. I wanted to commend staff for working with them on the design guidelines, as well as the creative solution to the chapel.
Thank you. I'm sorry, somebody from Little Sisters, Kansas wants to speak. I've got you queued up. Did you have a comment you'd like to make?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I live at this is Little Sister Lel at 36 South Bow Key. And I'm sorry I didn't catch his name, but he was just talking about this sidewalk gap that would be filled in by this sidewalk. But actually, it's not a gap. It's just strictly that the sidewalk ends at the neighbors to the west of the brothers, and it doesn't continue after all the way up until 9th Street. There's no sidewalk in front of all the new houses that were built. It wouldn't fill a gap. It would just continue, and then there would be another gap again.
Got her? Any comment? I'm sorry, I could barely hear. Okay. It's not a gap, but there is a sidewalk, correct?
There's a sidewalk before, but not after. So it wouldn't be
Okay.
filling a gap. It would just make less of a gap and another gap afterwards.
Okay. So we're going to fill in one and, all right, thank you. I'm being told that's tomato. All right, thank you. Mr. Freshnock, did you have a comment to make?
Yes. The other issue, this came up in 2017 when we designed the monastery. There's a guy wire that prevents the sidewalk from being constructed within the right of way. And so part of the issue that we had last time was that we had to relocate that sidewalk away from the guy wire. And so right now we can't continue the sidewalk due to that obstruction. So we noted that in our comments to planning staff. And I don't see where the reconstruction of the guy wire for that power pole falls on the little brother's responsibility. I would also add that there is a complete sidewalk on the north side of the street, which is very common in these neighborhoods to have a complete sidewalk on one side and not a sidewalk on the other. The little sister brought up a good point that all the new homes that were just constructed since the monastery was constructed were not required to have a sidewalk in front of them either. So there's a definite push to have the sidewalk on the north side of Homer.
All right, thank you. Director Hand, do you have any other further comment on sidewalks tonight? All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Hand on his comments? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Ernst.
I move the Kansas City Planning Commission recommend approval of petition PR 2025-006, subject to all stipulations and notations.
All right, thank you. A motion to approve final development plan application 2025-006 by Commissioner Ernst, seconded by Commissioner Strauss, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Strauss,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller,
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. And we have one last order of business, and that will be from legal counsel, Mr. Farley, on for information only on a proposal to amend the Board of Zoning Appeals membership, correct? So, all right, Mr. Farley is coming to the microphone.
All right, thank you. Mike Farley, UG Legal Counsel. What I have before you for information only is an amendment change to section 2751 of the zoning code and the addition of section 2754. What these amendments propose to do is to change the membership status of the Board of Zoning Appeals from the appointed members who serve as the Planning Commission and instead make several members of the Board of Commissioners serve as the Board of Zoning Appeals instead. Most of the language in here actually gets around a state law that says that there must be between 3 and 7 Board of Zoning Appeal members. Now, say, well, there's 11 people already serving on the Board of Zoning Appeals as the City Planning Commission. There's some ambiguity in the law that maybe allows you to have those two bodies serve together, and that's why we have 11. But if we were to deviate from that, move away, have different people serve as the Board of Zoning Appeals, we'd want to reduce that back down to 7. So that's the majority of the language changes in section 2751. And 2754 is simply the same language as in chapter 2, section 389 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the procedure to remove from office, because obviously now that we have a elected official that'd be serving in that capacity, there was some additional language that we had to mimic to make sure that procedure was clear. That's pretty much all I have in terms of the text. I am certainly able to take questions, but again, since this is information only, there'd be no vote tonight, but I can definitely take feedback.
So just a couple. So the 3 to 7 members, who will determine whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7?
As of right now, it was the language determines that there'd be 7. So there'd be 3 essentially permanent members. It would always be the mayor and the 2 at-large commissioners. And then on a rotating basis, essentially what's supposed to be in their 3rd or 4th year of their term would be the district commissioners. So we'd start off with the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th district commissioners because they're kind of in the second half of their term right now. And then in December of 2027, we'd switch over to the 1st, 5th, 7th, and 8th district commissioners, and they would serve a 2-year term as well.
All right. Commissioner Mueller, you had a question?
I'm all for this 100%. My only question is why?
I can't make any assertions about what we were approached by the Board of Commissioners of the legal department was in order to make these changes. We hope to have someone representing you, the mayor's office or the Board of Commissioners or the commissioner's office next month when this is actually up for a vote after it's been noticed. I hope that they can provide more insight into that at that time.
All right. Other questions or comments? Commissioner Ernst.
Not really a question, just a comment. I have a feeling there are a great number of attorneys who will be thrilled with this. They didn't like us making final decisions on anything.
All right. Anything else? Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you. Since this is information only, I guess that's all we have. Director Hand, anything else?
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning, resigned. I just wanted to make one note. We will be presenting at the May Planning Commission hearing. First on the agenda will be our year-end review for 2024. Typically, if you guys remember, in May, we typically would do our Complete Streets annual report as well as a short-term rental update. We've batched all that into all things 2024 at the Planning and Urban Design Department. We look forward to presenting that to you all for information only.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
We'll make it short and sweet for everyone.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else online as commissioners? Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Seeing none, this meeting will be adjourned. Thank you all. See you
Thanks,
next
Jeff.
month.
Thanks, everybody.